ya halo guys, selamat pagi semuanya. Udah lama nih ya. Dan ternyata event masih banyak yang numpuk karena kerjaan. Oke, story sama hangout. Oke lah, belum ya. Oke lah, berarti sekarang saatnya kita pakai untuk event. Gitulah. Oke lah, sekarang kita ini dulu deh. Kita event dulu, kita daily dulu. Oh ya, ekspedisi dulu ternyata.
Add Astro.
Oke.
Welcome to Mondstadt. Hope you enjoy the Windbloom Festival. Mondstadt welcomes you.
Oke, kita lihat dulu daily-nya di mana nih. Oh, di Nazuma.
We don't need an umbrella. Just pick up the pace.
Oh, lindungin. Ya, lindungin. Lindungin.
The bond is strong. Stay put.
Quietly now. Gotcha. Quietly now.
Cascade.
Busted.
Be still.
Oke ini. Ini mana lagi ya? Oh, sini kan bener.
Yeah. Our bond is
What a
strong.
lucky day.
You play. Yep.
Gotcha.
Cascade. The berry.
Don't be scared. Dissipate.
Busted.
Be stiff. This
You play. Stand with me. Don't be scared.
Quietly now.
be stiff.
Our bond is strong. Stay put.
Walah,
Dissipate. You play. Yep.
Gotcha.
Stay put.
Quietly now.
Be stiff.
Ad Astra. Thank you for
oke, sekarang kita habisin dulu resin deh. Ya.
bond is strong.
Here comes the catch.
Dissipate.
Healing bonus. Ya udah, healing bonus udah make ya. CDM, aduh, nggak ada CR nih.
Don't be scared.
Game's up. Fun's over. Busted.
May have overattacked.
Now you're testing my patience. Let's end this now. We'll meet again.
Our bond is strong.
Dendro damage tapi jelek. Trio damage bagus sih, lumayan.
Here comes the catch. Quietly now.
Cascade. I may have overestimated.
We'll meet again.
Dissipate.
IM Goblet, wah ini bagus nih. Nggak apa-apa lah, yang penting ada IM. HP Goblet, jelek juga sih. Nyari Goblet IM susah banget. Ada nambah friendship lumayan.
Our bond is strong.
Busted. Take it easy.
Sekarang kita menuju ke quest. Ini aja deh. Nah, ke Grand Bazaar. Kok agak nge-lag ya?
I was trying to remember. What else did we put on our shopping list? Oh, what a mouth-watering smell. Paimon would know the aroma of biryani anywhere. We can still add it to the list.
Well, if it isn't the Traveler and Paimon. Wasn't expecting to see you here.
Hello there. Oh, it's been
So you two are still hanging out together. Dia,
I said I was going to resign from being her bodyguard. The Homayanis also still post jobs from time to time. Their pay is always generous.
I told Dia to just stay at our place when she took one of those jobs a few days ago. My parents were delighted. They even said that it always felt like we were missing someone whenever Dia...
That sounds like something they would say, all right. They're always so welcoming. Anyway, the job is already taken care of, so I was gonna head back to the brigade as soon as I finished a little shopping.
You can stay for as many days as you want, Dia. Father hasn't even gotten around to treating you to his best dishes.
You know I'm not the kind of person to stay put in one place like that, my lady. Don't worry.
what? She said they'll treat you to the best dishes. Paimon,
But wait. Didn't you say last time that you would take me on a trip to the desert? Why don't you just take me with you today, when you leave? There are so many places I still haven't visited yet.
I'm sorry, my lady, but no can do. There's still a few things I need to take care of back at the brigade. Besides, the desert hasn't exactly been the most...
Oh, come on. Not this again. That's also what you said last time.
I know, I'm sorry. Just give me some more time, and I promise I'll plan the best trip ever for you.
All right, fine. To be perfectly honest, it's not that I wanted to go, it's more like ever since you first set foot on the estate a few days ago, you've been acting anxious, and have you been delaying our trip because you've run into some kind of trouble?
Nah, are you kidding? You're worrying too much.
Would you swear on that? Friends shouldn't lie to each other, you know. I wouldn't pry any further if you're willing to swear on what you just said. But if something really is bothering you, then just tell me. You know I'll help you however I can.
oh, looks like Dunyarzad was onto something.
You're too perceptive, my lady. Seems I can't hide anything from you. I just thought that nothing good could come out of telling you about the messy happenings of mercenaries. Mercenary life is a dog-eat-dog world where Mora reigns supreme.
That doesn't change anything about what I just said, though. We're still friends, and I can only support you if I understand what's bothering you.
My lady, you're not gonna stop until you drag it out of me, are ya? All right, I'll share what I know. Let's go somewhere else first. This isn't exactly the best place for a Okay, let's talk here. Just try not to draw any extra attention. As you may already know, the Eremites have both a lot of mercenaries and a complex organizational structure. Many mercs are no different than me, just going around looking for jobs to earn some mora. My brigade is called the Blazing Beasts. We're not a large group, but every member is loyal and brave. However, not all Eremite brigades are like mine. Some are willing to cross all kinds of lines for the sake of mora. The most...
Deshret's relics? Judging from the name, they must really look up to...
Yep, you got it. I've heard that you've already crossed paths with Ain al-Akmar. They're one of the groups under the Relic's banner.
Oh, you mean the group that tried to sell us the Divine Knowledge Capsule? Yeah, they weren't friendly at all.
Deshret's Relics is composed of many smaller brigades like Ain al-Akmar. The Relic's headquarters issues orders to all brigades under his control. On any other day, I would want nothing to do with them. Unfortunately, though, the brigade that's stirring up trouble now is none other than Dakan al-Akmar.
Dakan?
I think it means beard or something. Believe me, it's a really stupid name. I found it insufferable for years. Anyway, the real issue is that Dakan al-Akmar is led by my father, Kusela.
Say what now?
I think I'm starting to understand your anxiety now. But what did they do?
I won't go into details, my lady, but they've been involved in a lot of violent incidents. We're talking hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yep. The scenes tend to be quite gruesome, too. They strip the victims of all their valuables before murdering them. Not only have they targeted merchant caravans and ordinary citizens, but other mercenary brigades as well.
That's beyond terrible. They won't even spare their own kind.
I don't know how Deshret's relic sees it. All I do know is that Dakan al-Akmar has become more and more aggressive over the last few years. If I don't do something about them, then even my brigade or the people of Aru village could become their next target. I just wish I knew what's driven him to do this.
Yeah. How can your father do such terrible things?
I don't know. People change. He's always been pretty pathetic. But at least in the past, there were still a few lines that he wouldn't cross.
That's setting the bar pretty low.
I mean, if he was even remotely decent, then why would I have to leave the brigade and cut all ties with him? He was loud and foolish, with no real sense of purpose. Instead of doing anything useful, he spent... Of course, the other brigade members were just like him. Their ruckus would go on night after night.
Sounds like a nightmare.
What about your mother? Did she ever step in to stop them?
Unfortunately, I never knew my mother.
I'm sorry, Dia. I didn't know.
It's all right, my lady. That's pretty common in mercenary circles. Didn't I mention that my father was chasing after women? I was the result of one of those encounters with some... He told me that he wasn't sure who my mother was. And in any case, she never came to see me. He'd say, "You'll be fine as long as you remember to stick with Dad." But even then, he left most of the parenting to the brigade. The one thing I do remember is that he used to tell me stories. But the problem was that he had terrible taste. He only knew a few stories, and even those tended to be pretty stale. They were tales of desert warriors defeating dragons in the forest, or stories of mercenaries rescuing princesses from rebel armies.
Sounds like your typical fairy tales.
More or less, yeah. They were interesting maybe the first or second time around, but after about 20 repeats, they started to get a little dull. He seemed to think those stories were the best things ever, though. He was so into them that he'd call the whole brigade over and make them perform the whole thing as a play. Even the toys he gave me would all be story props. I'd get helmets, shields, and toy swords. It was only much later when I realized that the shows were more for him than they ever were for me.
What an interesting guy.
Yeah, I've always found him pretty childish. But that was something I could just shrug off. I had no reason to despise him. Until I grew up and learned the true face of Deshret's relics for myself. Looting, blackmail, violence, and fraud. They not only accepted such heinous acts, they would even openly boast about them. No one in the brigade was any kind of hero. Instead, my father and his cronies were more like the bad guys that needed to be taken down. Did they really think that as long as they didn't do any of that stuff right in front of me, I would never know?
I think I can understand your feelings. The difference between perception and reality must have hit hard.
Yeah, but don't worry, my lady. It's all water under the bridge to me now. I had a huge argument with my father and left that place behind for good. I'm not investigating them due to any bitter feelings I still have towards my father. I just want to protect those that are close to me. Yeah, I told the boys to gather as much information as they could. Most of the reports concern violent incidents, but there's also some talk of smuggling.
I see. But isn't this investigation incredibly dangerous?
It is, but every mercenary lives life on the edge. It's a lifestyle that I enjoy.
That may be true, but it'll be impossible for those who care about you not to worry.
Well, now you get why I didn't want to share any of this with you.
What should we do? They both have valid concerns.
Huh? But there's no need for you to get caught up in this mess, too.
Well, she's super tough, so if she went into the desert with you, then Paimon bets the problem will be solved in no time.
I'm inclined to agree. I'd feel a lot more at ease if you took her along to help. I'll wait for news from you in the city until then. Please, stay safe.
I'm honored that you care so much for me, my lady. All right, then let's get moving. Our first stop will be Caravan Rebot, where we can catch up a bit with my fellow mercs.
Oke, ternyata masalahnya gitu. Ayahnya sendiri menjadi wow. Sekarang ke Caravan Rebot. Caravan Rebot.
Take it easy.
Hey, Dia, you're back. Are these two friends of yours? Likewise. There's no need to be so formal with us. We're a pretty casual crew. Anyway, since we've got a newcomer, let me fill you in on what the Khan al-Ahmar's been up to lately. They've become extremely aggressive. Apparently, even their own now have become acceptable targets. They even attack other relics brigades, just the same as any other mercenary brigade.
Even the most ferocious beasts still protect their own. But it sounds like they've thrown that straight to the wind.
That's right. Once they've collected enough loot off the other mercenaries, they sell it off to a different brigade, or a portion of their profits is immediately exchanged for more food and weaponry to be used in their next violent operation.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder why they're so desperate for Mora. A few days ago, Isham and I trailed them for a while, and even disguised ourselves as merchants to conduct trade with them. We were able to learn a few things from the exchange. Rather than saying they're out to plunder and hoard Mora, it'd probably be more accurate to say that they're experiencing an internal power struggle.
Wait, a power struggle?
You heard me right. The vast majority of their victims are mercenaries from the other brigades of Deshret's relics. If their only goal was Mora, they could have gone after anybody. The targeted nature of their attacks points to a power struggle between the different brigades within the relics. That's the only plausible explanation we have. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find out anything more specific. It seems they're also trying to keep things under wraps. Oh, one last thing we discovered was that over the past few years, as the Khan al-Ahmar became more and more active, Deshret's relics as a whole became a lot weaker.
Sounds mighty strange to me, too. Haroon, you can leave the rest of the investigation to us. Gotta say, though, I didn't expect you to go on a whole undercover mission during the few days I was gone. Sounds like you were really putting your necks on the line, no?
Nah, it was nothing. We're just as concerned about the situation as you are. The Khan al-Ahmar is your father's crew, after all.
What he said. Besides, Dia, haven't you done more dangerous things than all of us combined? What we did is nothing compared to your experience.
Yeah. And while they went to talk with Khan al-Ahmar, I took a look at the last camp they attacked. Any survivors of the attack were already long gone. There was nothing of value left in the camp.
Ah, Hisham and Khalaf. You're here too.
We rushed over as soon as we saw you come into Caravan Rebot. Although this new friend of yours looks a little green behind the ears, I'm sensing a special vibe from her. Now that we know you'll have a capable partner with you, we can also...
Hey, what about Paimon?
Oh, you're also planning to tag along with them?
Of course! Paimon is the traveler's most important guide.
Oh. In that case, then you'd better take care of her too, Dia.
Don't underestimate.
Don't worry about her. She may look tiny and helpless, but she's been through just as many battles as the traveler here. Even if she had only survived on sheer luck, then that alone would still make her quite formidable.
I had no idea. I guess I shouldn't judge by appearances.
Oh, one other thing, Dia. When you're free, why don't you update the deputy about your upcoming schedule? We held another recruitment event a few days ago, but everyone only came to see the Flame Main. You weren't around at the time, so people were pretty disappointed to only find our crew of rough, unkempt guys. The deputy put a lot of effort into the event, but it was basically for nothing. Only a few people chose to stay, and that really got to him.
Sorry to hear that. I'll be sure to bring him some great liquor next time. I left in a hurry, and I couldn't make it back in time for the event.
Gotta admit, I can understand their disappointment, though. You're our brigade's main selling point, after all. Now, if only the deputy could figure out a way to bring a few more smoking hot members into our ranks.
Keep dreaming. Remember the last time I invited a couple gals into the brigade? You all just froze up with your mouths gaping like a bunch of scarecrows. The awkward silence and weird expressions left quite the impression on them. They were originally interested in joining us, but after that, they both told me they were too uncomfortable to stick around.
Hey, didn't we agree to never bring that up again?
Huh? Wait, are you serious? Why have I never heard about this?
I don't think you were part of the brigade yet.
Are you kidding me? I missed a once-in-a-lifetime moment like that and you weren't even gonna tell me?
All right. We can tell you about it later. Now's not the time.
Hey, don't you try to change the subject. You and Hisham get your butts over here and tell me everything right now.
Are they always like this?
More or less. There aren't many rules or graces when it comes to mercenaries. We're used to just speaking our minds. If someone starts getting under your skin, you just yell right back at them. And if that doesn't put an end to it, then you just challenge them to a fight. But we also don't tend to take many things too seriously. Being direct and getting it all out of your system as soon as things come up is better than keeping everything bottled up, never talking about it. That's also why I never spare their feelings when I talk to them. If I want to laugh, I'll laugh. If I'm angry, then I'll unload on them. It's hard to stop once you get used to it. Though, I can never do that when I'm with the Homiyanis. Hey, knuckleheads! Can you at least tell me the rest of the intel before you go back to your bickering?
Yeah, you hear her, Holloff? Told you we gotta focus on the investigation first. I drew up a map. Right here's the spot. There you'll find the merchant caravan responsible for getting rid of Dakan al-Akhmar's looted goods. All you gotta do is wait and ambush them in the evening. They'll have no idea what hit them.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Be sure to pass my regards to everyone else in the brigade as well.
Will do. You stay safe, Dia.
Oke, malam ya. Awasi rute dan tunggu. Oke, di mana ini? Jauh. Di sini.
This should be the place. Let's find a spot to hide and bide our time. It's gonna come down to a fight one way or another, so let's all be careful.
No need to worry. She knows her way around a fight.
I'm not worried about that. What I meant is that we probably shouldn't go too hard on the enemy. After all, we still need to get information out of them. Here they come. You ready? Let's not give them a chance to react and end this quickly.
Inilah yang paling menyenangkan.
That's close enough.
Don't be scared.
You won this one.
Terus kok
You're the Flame Main.
Good. That saves me an introduction. All right, time for a little talk. Are you buddies with Dakan al-Akhmar now?
You know the code of being a mercenary just like everyone else. The first rule is to never divulge key information about her.
That might have worked on an amateur, but I know you're just looking to protect your reputation. Think about it, though. What's your reputation worth if you won't have the other tools you need to succeed in this line of work? Tools like, I don't know, your limbs or eyes? You've got 5 seconds. You might want to think twice about how much your employer's information is worth to you.
Whoa!
I'm not joking around. We can do this the easy way or the painful way. 2 seconds!
I'll save you the trouble.
Huh? Are you crazy? He tried to bite off his own tongue. Quick, search the area for any first aid supplies. I definitely didn't expect him to go that far. Thankfully, the wound wasn't too deep.
But why would he be so extreme?
I just wanted to test his mettle. You can get a lot of mercenaries to talk just by threatening them. I didn't expect him to be willing to go through so much pain just to deny us some intel.
Well, he's out cold for now. We could wait for him to wake up, but maybe it's not.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be a waste of time to interrogate him again after that. He might just hurt himself again if we start asking. There are lots of goods around here. Let's search the area. Maybe we'll be able to find something. I'm really sorry.
Oke. Ini kok bisa diajak ngobrol sih? Bisa diajak ngobrol. Tunjuk dan barang-barang di sini. Senjata, obat-obatan, keperluan sehari-hari. Nah, ini nih.
We found a piece of paper with a bunch of names on it. Maybe it's a record of something.
Let me take a look. If this really is a merchant caravan, yep, I see an entry for Dakana Lakmar right here. Kusela, Idrisi, Bashar, and Takriti. All familiar names. Dakana Lakmar has been trading for a hefty supply of food, weapons, and medicine. It seems that in the past, they used to receive some canned knowledge as well. This caravan is just one link in their logistics chain. Once in the rainforest, the caravan will exchange the looted goods for mora, and the funds will then be passed to a specific person. That person will then pack the caravan full of necessary goods, which will then be brought right back to Dakana Lakmar. Wait, why is there no mora value recorded for the final transaction?
No value?
Yeah, every transaction before the last one was marked with an exact amount of mora, but the final one, where they paid for everything to be brought back to the desert, was perhaps. But they couldn't have known how much they would make off selling the loot. Do they not care about profit margins at all? Anyway, the next part's the records of the goods themselves. There are a lot of entries. Everything... Huh?
What's wrong?
Shazamon Homayani?
Homoyani? You mean Dunyarzad's family? Could it just be another family with the same last name?
I'd be surprised to find someone with the exact same first and last name. Shazamon Homayani is Dunyarzad's father, and the head of the Homayani family. Just what the heck is going on here? I'm sorry, you're right. I'll consider what we found and not jump to conclusions just yet. But what this piece of paper confirms is that the Homayani family has been providing goods to Dakana Lakmar.
What if the Homayanis have been kept in the dark and don't know they've been trading with Dakana Akhmar?
That's a possibility. But if that was the case, why is this caravan specifically named Shazamon as their person of contact? They could have just as easily bought goods such as food and medicine directly from Caravan Ribat or Port Ormos. Yeah, funding violence and looting. The brigade gets the goods, and he is paid the proceeds from the sale of the loot.
But why would he do something like this? It's not like the Homayanis are in need of money.
I honestly have no idea. I've been to their estate many times, and I've never noticed anything suspicious. The only potentially large expenditure I could think of would be the treatment costs for Dunyarzad's Elazar. Maybe they borrowed a lot of Mora in the past? But that's still just a speculation. I don't think the Master would stoop so low to make Mora. You're probably right. I know my lady's personality, and she wouldn't deliberately keep something like this from us.
But what should we do now? All we found is just another mystery.
If you ask me, we already have no choice but to confront her about this. I'm not worried. It's too early to make a verdict yet. I still have faith in the Homayanis. Let's go find my lady again. We'll tell her everything and see if she's willing to lend us her support. If we're lucky, we can not only figure out the mystery of this paper, but also follow the trail of breadcrumbs to the
Dia, are you sure this is the best decision? What if instead of getting the help we need, we just end up revealing everything we've discovered to—
I've considered that possibility. But even still, I want to tell her what we found. I think I owe her that much. True friendship is built on trust. She showed genuine concern for me when we first brought up the topic. I can't repay her kindness with doubt and suspicion. That's not how I deal with people.
You're right. Paimon wants to trust Dunyarzad too.
Yeah. Let's pay another visit to Sumeru City.
Wow, masalah semakin kompleks. Kita balik lagi. Ntar lihat dulu coba. Suratnya tuh mana sih? Ini. Oh, nggak ada. Nggak bisa dibaca. Oh, nggak nge-like-nya kalau di Sumeru.
We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't—
Actually, we are still investigating. It's just that we've discovered something strange.
I see. The clues you found have led you back.
Something like that.
You all look a little dispirited. Whatever you found must not have been very encouraging. Why don't you discuss it with me? Maybe
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father or anything like that. How should I put this?
So something is wrong. Even the Traveler and Paimon have been uncharacteristically quiet. On any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a smile and shouted, "Dunyarzad, we're back!" So tell me, what happened?
Well?
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you next. It concerns the Master.
The Master? You mean my father? Okay, I understand. But don't worry about me. I'll listen as attentively as I can. My father has been supplying goods to Dakan al-Ak.
Yeah, it makes as little sense to us as it does to you. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard time rationalizing how he could ever support an infamous brigade like them. Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
I can't help but agree with the Traveler.
Huh? You mean you feel the same way, Dunyarzad?
Thank you for sharing all this information with me. Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about some doubts that I've been harboring for quite a while. In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I wouldn't run away and get lost. However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30. Why did my father go out of his way to hire Dia?
About that. Well, the Homayanis really needed bodyguards, so they reached out to the Blazing Beasts. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen, and that I should stick around to become one of his bodyguards. He offered me a pile of Mora, so I just signed on.
Well, but that didn't really answer my question. Just think about it. Why did my father specifically reach out to the Blazing Beasts?
Maybe the Core of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone recommended us. I think I get what you're saying. You'd think none of this was a coincidence.
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seemed strange or out of place. But there are many parts of the story that, if my father had always been in contact with Dakan al-Akmar, then it would make sense for him to bring Dia into our house.
You mean the goal all along was to get Dia to be your bodyguard?
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father a long time ago. He has no control over my life anymore.
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father has still been trying to influence your life without you knowing.
So, the Master was not likely an innocent victim in all of this?
Sorry we put all this on you so suddenly, Dunyarzad.
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually be thanking you. Regardless of his reasons, if my father has truly been funding a violent group of mercenaries...
But is that really the right thing to do? My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the punishment that he has coming to him. I have zero sympathy for him. You may call me an ungrateful child, but my feelings will remain the same. However, the Homayani family has treated me with nothing but generosity and kindness. If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating the entire Homayani family. I would be biting the hand that's fed me over all these years.
Dia.
It's all right, Dia. If anyone were to ask, you could always just say that I'm the one who instructed you to get to the bottom of this.
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid of taking responsibility. Besides, you're the one we should all be worried about right now.
Hey, it's still too early to give up hope. What was the thing about friendship again? Right, yeah, trust! You said that yourself, Dia. Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we've confirmed all the facts.
Thank you, everyone. That makes a lot of sense. I guess I should always remember the trust that I've placed in people. In which case, my lady, could you ask the Master to come out and have a chat with us?
Sure thing. I also hope he'll be able to give us a logical explanation. Let's meet at the usual place then.
Usual place? Ah, right.
Oke. Oh, di sini.
Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the Traveler, and next to her is her travel companion, Paimon.
Yes, my daughter has mentioned them from time to time. It's a privilege to finally meet them in person. But we may skip all the pleasantries for now.
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention.
So that's what you found? Huh. Seems like I can't keep everything from you much longer.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. What I do know, though, Dia, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything, it will likely...
Wait, me?
Yes. I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And I am touched by your collective commitment to do the right thing. But knowledge always comes at a price. And sometimes, as they say, your father Kusela and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you, the facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand. Blow it. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting mirage.
His heartfelt efforts? I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not sure I follow. I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father's support. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. None of these things have anything to do with him. I came here today to support you as the head of the Homayani family. No warning will change my stance on that.
I understand. Then let me tell you a little story. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. Along the way, we were attacked by... They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent us their support. Those Eremites were Kusela's brigade, Dakan al-Ahmar. Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dakan al-Ahmar go so far to say... Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyarzad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really? I never knew.
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age. We started talking about our children, and I sensed that he was a devoted father. To repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time and offered...
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell of himself. He couldn't even walk anymore without his cane.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine when I left the brigade.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about. He then suddenly asked me if Dunyarzad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own. At the time, Dunyarzad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house. But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. How do you know a bodyguard won't come in handy one day? I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the Blazing Beasts, and in particular, a mercenary named Dia.
So he was the one who recommended Dia to you.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life. If Dia could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would decrease, and she'd be able to leave her previous life behind.
And that's why you offered her such generous compensation?
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for that favor, I also began to see Dia as my own daughter. And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. I was willing to spend however much it took. Kusela saved my daughter and I all those years ago in the desert. I could never refuse him entrusting his daughter to me.
He was always like that, acting like he's oh so smart and...
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dia's fees. I refused to take any mora from him, but he'd always sent me funds anyway. Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while until I received another letter from him a few years ago. The letter contained a request to help him buy food, weapons, medicine, and even explosive materials.
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Dakan al-Ahmar started becoming more aggressive?
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. I wanted to meet him face to face to discuss things. But by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. If I had to guess, it's probably because he doesn't want to put Dia at risk. That thought occurred to me as well. I figured that he probably came to me for help because he had nobody else to turn to. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some food and medicine. I turned down all his requests for explosives and weaponry. I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support could lead to others coming to harm, but I could not simply reject his plea for help. In the end, it probably was the wrong decision. I plugged my ears to the rumors and just chose a solution that made me feel least guilty.
If you can, please tell me where he is now. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if he's just trying to keep me from getting tangled up in his world. If all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he shouldn't have brought me into this world in the first place.
Oh no. Dia, please don't feel that way.
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his actions. Another way? I don't know. I knew him, and he was nothing more than a childish brute. I can't understand what's going through his head. But I guess you do have a point. We haven't uncovered the whole truth yet. We still need to figure out his exact actions and reasoning for these last few years.
I'll do my best to help. Of course, anything between the two of you would need to be resolved between you and him alone. I don't know Kusela's exact whereabouts. Outside of supplying his brigade with some goods, I tried my best to avoid getting involved any further with him. However, there's a man on the list named Jawed. He used to be a mercenary in the desert and is now a member of the Corps of 30. He's responsible for supplying weapons and liaising with the Dakan al-Akhmar's merchant caravan. I think he should know Kusela's whereabouts. I've heard that he likes to have a few drinks alone and enjoy the cool wind at night outside the tavern.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Then I guess this is bye for now, unless...
I'll stay and be with my father here. To be honest, I'm still a little dazed and haven't finished processing everything quite yet. My father has indeed done something wrong, but if I think about it, I'm also not sure if there was a right way to handle this problem. I feel like our only course of action is to turn everything we know over to the Corps of 30. And
yes, I am prepared to accept whatever verdict they choose. It's time to face my mistakes.
Oh, kirain bakal klasik kasusnya. Kayak siapa? Kayak Clan Kujo kirain. Ternyata. Oh, di sini. Tavern pada malam hari. Malam hari. Yes. Pada malam hari Jawad. Jawad ini di mana? Oh ini. Oh ngelag banget ya kalau di Sumeru.
Huh? Who are you guys?
I know what you've been up to. Smuggling weapons to violent brigades in the desert while working for...
Shh! Keep your voice down. How do you know all that? Come with me. We should take this elsewhere. I'll be happy to talk things over once we're somewhere. This place should do. Alright, back to my question. How did you all know about me?
Don't worry about that for now. You know what kind of punishment you'll face once we report you to the Corps, I assume.
Wait, there's no need to jump the gun. Let's talk this out.
So what's in it for you anyway, Mora?
Well, I was a little tight on money at the time, and Kusela took good care of me in the past. I waited in my mind, and I couldn't find a reason to turn the opportunity down. I wouldn't only be helping my benefactor, but I could also make some quick Mora.
Let me tell you how it is. We're investigating Dakan al-Akhmar, and we're gonna put an end to their operations. If you provide some help for us, then we might just put in a good word later to reduce the terms of your punishment.
Hey, why don't we discuss this a little first? Listen, I made quite a bit of Mora from my last run. You just give me a number, and I'm sure...
Shut it. My patience is running out. You should know when a mercenary is after something other than money.
All right, sheesh. But you gotta promise you'll put in some nice words for me later. They're always on the move. Here's the spot they were at the last time I made my delivery to the desert. Feel free to go have a look. I'm just telling you though, it's not on me if they're not there anymore.
Sure. And then you can forget about any nice words from us.
Hey, come on. Now you're just being
Really? And how do I know you're not leading us straight into a trap? Don't forget, you're the one with no bargaining chips.
All right, I get it. Why don't you go take a look, and if they're not there anymore, I'll try to figure out something else for y'all.
Now that's more like it. Let's move. And as for you, try to stick around the city until we get back. You don't want us to call the folks from the Corps and have them drag you back to the city.
Langsung murung. Kayak Victor. Ke mana tempatnya? Oh ini. Oh di padang pasir. Oke.
Seems like we're in luck. That should be their camp right up ahead. Let's go. We'll finally get to the bottom of this ourselves.
Oh langsung hajar ini.
I'm here to see Kusela. Tell him to get out here.
Why are you here?
Be still.
Haven't you all done enough?
Oh, so are you also here to stop us?
Stay out of this. It's got nothing to do with you.
Quietly now.
She's so strong.
Enough fighting. We all know each other, and I don't want to take things too far. Just bring Kusela to me. There's no use hiding him anymore. Did you understand a single word I just said? Or do I need to bash your skull in some more?
All right, everyone, let's all just calm down for a second. Dia, the boss can't come out and see you anymore. He died a long time ago.
What?
Seems like you've been out of the loop for a while. Guess that's for the best, though. At least, that's what the old man wanted.
When did he die? What happened to him?
A few years ago, Kusela broke up Dakan al-Akmar and went to the Deshret's Relics headquarters by himself.
So is that when you guys started acting up?
We would prefer to call it taking revenge. Every last person in Deshret's Relics must pay in blood for what they did.
Let me start from the beginning. Dia, do you know how the head of the relics maintained order internally?
Shenhe, halo Pastor. Shenhe.
Overwhelming strength and
Maksudnya bannernya tunggu dulu, belum ada nih.
Those were a part of it, yes. But just those on their own weren't enough. They had another tool at their disposal. They called it a person's record. Regardless of whether they joined by their own will or were coerced, every person in Deshret's Relics were forced to leave a record of themselves at headquarters. Whether it be their deepest sin, some unforgivable act, or their most immoral exploit, the record served both as a symbol of loyalty and the perfect material for blackmail. That's precisely it. Every one of us have a record. Me, Bashar, Tikriti, and all the boys who grew up with Dia and ended up joining our ranks. But you, Dia, you were never asked to provide a record, were you?
I never even knew this was a requirement.
Udah berapa lama nih main? Sebenarnya aku udah lama, pertama kali main tuh 1.4, cuman baru serius bangetnya September kemarin. Karena waktu dulu bolong 1 bulan lah, bolong 2 minggu, 3 minggu lah. Jadi baru seriusnya 3.0.
You were probably the only person in all of Dash.
Makanya aku Ayaka Shenhe belum punya nih. Dua-duanya. Ya mungkin Ayaka dulu lah, Shenhe-nya kalau beruntung ya mungkin bisa lah. Cuman nggak tahu nih.
Ever since you were born, Boss had been trying to shield you from this organization's sinister rules. Not only that, but he also banned all of us from committing any nefarious acts. He said he'd take care of the dues we had to pay regularly to
Sama bang, gue juga pernah pensi-pensi terus gara-gara kayak mood main tuh kadang-kadang hilang. Nah, kalau aku dulu karena gimana ya? Emang karena ini sih, kalau aku dulu bolong-bolong tuh karena satu nggak ngerti mainnya, nggak ngerti build karakter. Terus yang kedua, mentok di AR35 kalau nggak salah. Itu aku aja ngelawan si siapa? Si Tatang tuh, ngelawan si Cilde aja aku tersendat di situ. Jadi makanya nggak dilanjutin lagi, udah males banget di situ. Udah bener-bener nggak dilanjutin banget. Karakter bintang 5 belum ada satupun waktu itu.
But in the end, he was just an ordinary person. What could he do? He was forced to go to headquarters again and again to account for missed dues and incomplete records. He'd come up with all kinds of excuses and get beaten up as a result.
We all knew he was doing that for you. He wanted to get you out of this world, no matter what it took.
And that's why he became a shell of himself and couldn't walk without a cane.
Wait, but that doesn't make any sense. I didn't know about any of this, and I'd never seen him get injured or beaten.
Because you were too young at the time. How would you ever tell between wounds from a beating and wounds from battle?
Oh iya, kalau awal-awal emang rada malesin, struggle banget pas naikin AR, iya betul. Bukan struggle juga naikin AR-nya sih, build karakternya juga sih. Dulu kan world level mungkin ya masih di bawah 8 lah, kayak masih 2, 1, 3, yang kayak gitu-gitu kan. Ngumpulin artefak tuh males, belum nanti kalau naik world levelnya harus ascension lagi, segala macam. Wah, malesin banget sih. Dulu juga aku belum punya karakter bintang 5 satupun. Yang kalah red off aja, belum aja satupun dulu. Jadi ya itulah, makanya malesin dulu tuh main tuh.
You left home after that final argument with
Bener-bener malesin banget lah. Bayangin Ningguang pakai instruktor, terus apa masih pakai masih pakai Lucky Dog. Aduh, yang kayak gitu bintang 1 bintang 2. Itu sampai September kemarin loh. Beberapa karakter aja masih pakainya tuh Lucky Dog yang kayak gitu-gitu. Jadi makanya aduh.
So even the blazing beasts were.
Tapi enak kalau sekarang udah ketolong explore yang banyak. Iya, tinggal hikikomori di rumah aja. Oh iya, aduh. Iya sih, aku aja explore aja dibantu temanku. Jadi main co-op gitu.
Yep.
Dulu.
It was all his doing. Had he not arranged them to come to you, you probably would have been reduced to a pulp before you ever left the desert.
A few years ago, Boss said he needed to make another trip to headquarters. He was already pretty weak then, and we all assumed he was going to get beaten again. I suggested that he hand the role of leadership over to me, but he said there was no longer any need, since the Khan al-Ahmar would soon be no more. His words made no sense to me, but that night, we heard that a massive fire tore through headquarters and razed everyone's records to ash.
Everyone gained their freedom that night. Many members fled, not just from our ranks, but from the other brigades as well. But how could we leave with a clear conscience? All of us who knew exactly what had happened.
The boss can't have just died for nothing. Those heartless jerks at headquarters took him from us.
From that point on, the sole purpose of Khan al-Ahmar became revenge. The big fire that boss started was quite a blow to headquarters' strength. It's given us the opportunity to launch our attack.
Selain Genshin Impact main apa? Kalau aku sih streaming cuman main ini ya. Kalau lain-lainnya nggak tahu main apa lagi ya. Aku jarang main ini sih. Jarang main-main yang lain juga sih.
Even though we're outnumbered, we vowed to see our revenge through to the very end. There were people from headquarters who changed their names and went into hiding. Some fled to other brigades, and others escaped to the rainforest. But we won't let any of them escape our wrath. They'll all pay for what they've done.
We've suffered plenty of losses as well. To keep going, We need an enormous amount of supplies, from food and medicine to weaponry and explosives. All we can do is exchange our loot from Mora, and then use that to get supplies. We forged Boss's handwriting and sent out many letters to his former friends. Thankfully, many people were willing to come to our aid. We were also able to attract many mercenaries who shared our goal. We've endured unspeakable pain to win many impossible battles. Deshret's relics have become weaker and weaker, and now we finally have an opportunity to directly strike their headquarters.
Paimon doesn't know what to say anymore.
We do know right from wrong, but we were sinners from the very beginning. We do not deserve the freedom that the boss won for us with his life. Boss always loved his old-fashioned hero stories. Those tales about sacrificing yourself to save the world. We used to always laugh at him for it. But in the end, he really went and lived those stories out himself. As for me, I never considered myself a hero. We're all the lowest of the low. We have no right to even imagine such an existence. But maybe those hero stories he liked foreshadowed everything that was to come. The spirit of the hero touched all those he had saved, and more people joined his cause. Maybe we were all just acting along with the play in the beginning. But as we acted the parts and recited the lines, we were drawn in. And now, we want to see the story through to the end. I'm sorry, Dia. I know you always found us insufferable ever since you were young. Just think of this as a madman ranting.
I'll go with you.
Huh? Dia? You wanna go with them?
I grew up with these guys, and I know they're not bad people. It's just that some situations get so bad that it's difficult to tell good from evil. All I know is that Deshret's relics must be destroyed. Furthermore, I want to go see the place for myself. I want to know if my father is still there. I know you don't want to get involved in this, so there's no need for you to tag along. I can do this on my own.
Yeah, Paimon feels like we'd only regret it if we don't see this through to the end.
Thank you. We'll be a lot stronger together with you.
I bet Boss would lose his mind if he ever knew you'd join us at the very last moment like this.
Considering all the losses and injuries we sustained.
Oh, dikira main yang lain juga. Gimana ya, main yang lain tuh kayak cuma sesekali doang sih. Kayak contohnya mungkin kalau aku waktu kecil mah main game-game PS1 yang kayak gitu-gitu doang sih paling, dan itu pun sesekali doang gitu. Ya gimana ya, ya main ini doang gitu sih. Iya kalau yang serius banget mah gitu. Bahkan kayak Mobile Legend aja aku nggak main, Valorant aja jarang banget. Valorant terakhir main berapa tahun yang lalu itu. Udah cukup banget itu. Kayaknya kalau disuruh main juga udah lah. Dan akunnya juga udah nggak tahu kemana. Udah nggak tahu.
But the fact is, I owe him this much.
Oke. Ceritanya gini. Rumput semua, oh nih. Jauh banget. Ini kan di atas sini nih. Iya kalau main yang lain tuh bingung sih main apa lagi ya yang agak-agak ini. Soalnya kalau mau main game kayak yang berat-berat gitu ya kayak AAA itu agak bingungnya tuh ini harus tamatin satu game baru pindah ke yang lain karena ngabisin memori banget, gede banget gitu. Iya. Ya siapa game-game sekarang gede, iya udah mah gede, kebutuhan sistemnya juga mantap, kayak VGA harus berapa kan, aduh. Iya. Sedangkan kalau main game ini kan ya normal gitu lah ya, bahkan yang kentang-kentang PC kentang pun masih bisa gitu kasarannya mah. Wah, ini kan ringan. Yes.
Is this the entrance? We sure didn't run into much trouble on the way here.
Ada domain nih, lumayan.
Should be.
Oke, domain. Ah, ini aja deh. Friendship. Duh. Pakai party yang friendshipnya belum 10.
Wow. Paimon didn't expect it to look like this on the inside.
They should all be holed up in here. Don't know how many people they've got left, though.
Who cares? We'll round up all of them.
Still, we should be careful. Even if they've only got one shot left, it could still take us out.
Yeah, we'll know what they're really capable of once we've landed some hits on them. Deshret's relics may have been a force to be reckoned with before, but their name means nothing now.
Yeah, they don't stand a chance with you here. I'll take the lead. I've been here once before.
Oke. Di sini, wah cuma di Semeru NPC-nya ngebantu. Beneran ngebantu.
Happy to apply.
You are not welcome here.
Game's up. Sun's over. Busted.
Following orders. New punch.
Let's get it on.
Be still.
You want this?
Gotcha.
Real NPC Sumeru doang yang berguna. Iya bener, Sumeru NPC doang yang berguna. Kalau yang lainnya kan mungkin nggak tahu ngilang kemana, atau mungkin jongkok sambil tangannya ada di belakang kepala gitu. Sumeru mah berguna semua. Ush, wah ini kenapa ini? Cuma Sumeru yang berguna.
They went charging ahead without checking for any traps.
Hey, you guys okay?
Ush.
It seems like we just got trapped in here. Don't think we triggered anything else.
Watch out, the enemy's coming from ahead.
Well, now that things have come to this, seems we'll have to fight our way through.
Don't worry about us. We knew something like this could happen. Go and take a look around. There could. Let's go! We can't let the boss down!
Let's check if there's another way. The sooner we can make it through to help them, the better.
Let's see.
Apalagi NPC oh iya, si Rana ya. Berguna banget, bikin kita semangat main Genshin. Rana, aduh. Tapi itu pertama kali ketemu Rana, wah ini cerita apa nih? Quest apa nih? Pas dilihat, wah panjang banget.
I think I see a way through
Rana
over
sampai
there,
sekarang
but it's being blocked by
quest paling
something.
panjang.
Let's try our luck with that mechanism.
Okay, let's go.
Untung arah-arah udah beres. Itu kalau belum beres mau, wah panjang banget. Ketinggian warna cahaya dapat diterima dengan aku. Oh, atas lagi.
Take it easy.
Aduh, ini belum questnya jadi nggak ngerti. Ubah warna. Oh. Terus turun. Oh.
Quietly now.
Ada chest. Udah lama nggak lihat chest. Nah, tapi katanya Aranara mau ada lagi ya lah. Oh iya gitu. Oh,
Another mechanism.
curiganya 3.6 malahan.
But this one's being blocked off in the middle.
Soalnya 3.6
We just
tuh
need to adjust it a little.
ada peta baru katanya. Bos baru juga kan tuh buat siapa namanya? Rumornya gitu ya. Bos baru buat siapa namanya? Bos baru buat ini. Buat Baizu. Ini kemana lagi nih? Kalau misalnya benar-benar ada berarti panjang banget itu bisa dibilang. Oh gini. Baizu si dokter, iya betul, dokternya si Cici. Katanya mau ada lagi itu. Nanti bos baru jadi salah.
Buckle up. This way. Stay put.
Gotcha.
Cascade.
Kasihan dia, awal Sumeru rilis digadang-gadang ya, rilis duluan sampai sini. Iya itu Baizu baru sekarang. Dan itu bisa dibilang karakter pertama gitu ya, karakter Dendro pertama, tapi kok dirilisnya baru sekarang gitu. Lama banget nunggunya.
Here comes the cash. Quietly now.
Bisa. Ini ada chest lagi nggak ya? Lumayan primo.
Take it easy.
Oh ini. Naik, udah benar. Ini diputar dulu. Kok salah ya? Oh gini. Yang ini nggak bisa. Main Genshin lebih atau enjoy story aja Pak, atau yang lain? Dua-duanya sih gimana ya? Soalnya kalau fokus ceritanya, kalau World Quest apalagi Aranara tuh aku skip semua. Aranara panjang banget ceritanya. Aku mau mainnya ya kasual aja sih. Soalnya kalau mainnya terlalu kayak orang-orang yang mungkin kayak flexing build karakter lah segala macam, wah aku kalah sih kalau udah itu mah. Ngomongin soal itu mah. Jadi aku mau main Genshin ya sekedar kasual aja sih. Aku nggak mau jadiin game ini sebagai kompetitif lah. Yang penting mah apa ya namanya, bisa nikmatin ya udah. Soalnya kalau ngomong soal build aja, karakterku aja masih banyak PR. Makanya. Aku bingung kenapa orang-orang artefak kok bisa bagus-bagus segala macam ya. bisa ini substat CDM 45% tuh gimana caranya? Coba nggak ngerti.
I wasn't expecting.
Oh berarti abang ini tidak pemuja damage atau gila waifu atau toxic, betul guys. Betul banget. Aku atau toxic kompetitif atau yang sok tahu Genshin, enggak, aku standar aja lah. Ada orang-orang yang review ya setahu aku aja, gitu-gitu aja sih. Soalnya aku emang aku kayak ini achievement apa namanya, achievement timbulkan crit apa namanya tuh, yang pokoknya mas score showcase gitulah. Aku aja cuma 100 berapa ribu, nggak pernah aku niatin untuk sampai 1.500.000 gitu, nggak. Sama sekali enggak.
Don't waste your breath. You have nowhere to run.
Run? Had I wanted to run, I would have fled 1,000 times already. I witnessed the golden age of Deshret's relics. Even if I could leave this place behind, all that awaits me now are endless days of him. Even now, my brothers and I still believe in one thing. The greatest should never live to remember their fall.
So you want to go out in a blaze of glory.
Let us draw our weapons.
Tapi aku juga masih bertanya-tanya, kenapa ya yang ini game kasarnya kasual atau single bisa gitu, bisa kompetitif. Nah itu tuh sebenarnya gini nih ya, aku pernah lihat salah satu streamer gitu yang bilang itu sebenarnya masalah soal flexing ibaratnya mah. Jadi yang dimana pokoknya damage aku harus besar biar apa, biar aku tuh dianggap sebagai orang yang ahli dan segala macam. Sebenarnya mah tujuan awalnya mungkin ke sana gitu, kalau kata streamer itu ya, bukan kata aku gitu. Jadi makanya kenapa orang-orang yang review kebanyakan berkedok review padahal aslinya main flexing gitu. Aku nggak tahu ya, kalau aku mah datang ya mau flexing mau review terserah lah kalau aku mah gitu. Cuman ini mah banyak tuh, ada tuh salah satu streamer yang kayak gitu, siapa gitu aku lupa. Dia tuh sampai bilang, bang review bang, tapi lihat UID-nya 80. Wah udah dia langsung ngomong, lu mau flexing atau mau ini? Langsung kita ngomong kayak gitu. Makanya UID 80 kalau nggak ngerti build nggak akan mungkin gitu. Itu kata dia gitu. Jadi makanya aku spekulasi, oh ini mungkin Genshin jadi game kompetitif mungkin karena banyak viewer juga yang pingin kayak gitu. Ya kalau aku sih pribadi gitu, ngapain harus mentingin damage selagi musuh bisa mati, spiral bisa dijalanin, ya apa salahnya kan? Kalau aku kayak gitu sih. Aku aja spiral belum full star kok. Tapi ya udah santai aja sih. Selagi bisa main Genshin mah apa salahnya sih, kalau aku mau gitu aja lah. Orang Xingqiu aku aja masih 50-80, coba bayangin. Xiangling masih 36-102. Biarin lah, gak usah peduli amat soal damage.
Things are about to get dicey.
Law of the jungle.
Gotcha.
We're just getting started. King Deshret will not abandon any one of his followers.
Aduh, Kayu tuh musuh Dendro banget. Executor.
This is where we prove our faith.
Oh, ini si Gio ini.
None of us plan to leave this place alive! Sand, your sacrifice is ready.
Look alive! Hi! Get with me!
Things are about to get dicey. Quietly.
Golden slumber.
Nah iya,
The commander is finally fallen.
ya aku juga jujur nih, awal-awal main Genshin, game ini kukira sehat gitu. Maksudnya kan single lah, jarang kayaknya toxic fandom ya. Tapi semenjak nyebur ke live YouTube, nah iya, awalnya dari situ. Dalam hati, waduh, kenapa gitu kan. Ya itu mungkin nih ya, kalau kata streamer itu mah mungkin dasarnya kalian semua gitu. Ini mah kata streamer gitu. Mungkin pada dasarnya kalian tuh pemain ML atau pemain Valorant yang bener-bener mentingin flexing segala macam, mentingin damage, maksudnya mentingin pokoknya aku harus juara gitu. Jadi akhirnya pas pindah ke Genshin sifat itu masih ada. Itu kata streamer ya, bukan kata aku gitu. Kata streamer yang lain gitu. Makanya akhirnya gitu. Yang akhirnya menyebabkan Genshin ini malah menjadi ajang untuk adu build gitu kasarannya, mah bukan sebagai ajang untuk senang-senang sendiri gitu. Padahal kan awalnya diciptakan kan kayak gitu kan, untuk apa namanya? Untuk awal-awalnya kan cuma diciptain untuk apa namanya? Untuk kesenangan sendiri aja gitu, untuk kasual aja gitu. Ibaratnya mah kayak main game triple A gitu kan. Cuman nggak tahu lama-lama makin kesini makin kayak gitu. Kayak contohnya di Twitter ada yang CDM-nya 300, terus segala macam, terus damage bisa sampai 2 juta atau bahkan 10 juta. Ya itu tujuannya jadi melenceng gitu.
And no need to back down.
When the next wave comes, try to draw away their attacks. I'm going to see if I can take out that high platform.
Get out of my way!
Come and face me, Michel!
Wah, ini mulai nih. Kita dibantu.
So they've broken through the front as well.
Apologies, Lord Michel. They fight like absolute madmen.
Nah, biasanya kan kayak gini kan NPC kalau misalnya diserang. Jongkok langsung. Langsung jongkok, langsung tangannya ada di atas kepala.
So, it would seem like this is the end.
Time to pay for everything you've done, Michel.
You think I would give you that opportunity? I will be buried in the sand alongside all the rest of our fading glory.
Hey, wait!
Oh, mau ini disuruh lari kah? Oh kan.
We were too late.
It's over. There's no more need to fight. But if you're still going to cling on to your so-called mercenary's pride, then I'll give you all a good beating as well.
Wih, itu yang elektro ini cryo.
Hey, Dia! I found the mechanism. I'll get you all back up here right away.
Wih, ada Precious.
Let's go.
Tapi ya udah Bang, tidak bisa diganggu gugat lagi. Iya, soalnya komunitinya udah terlanjur besar gitu, yang kayak gitu mungkin kan. Kalau gitu ayo kita berteman di sini saja. Boleh. Nanti tulis aja UID-nya, nanti add aja. Apa-apa kok, nanti aku add. Pergi ke lantai atas. Oke. Ini ke atas. Oke. Aku aja nambah teman Genshin aja nih kayaknya baru dari live stream ini loh. Dari live, dari live stream di channel ini gitu. Kemarin-kemarin aku awalnya teman cuma ada 2. Soalnya yang main Genshin sedikit banget di aku.
You call yourself a member of the infamous Deshret's relics and you still can't even tell who's made it all the way to your headquarters?
Who knows what intent a bunch of rats may have? We try to catch a couple, and you all just show up on the other side instead. How are we supposed to figure out what you're at?
Hey, have you ever heard of a man by the name of Kusela?
Why would I know? It's not like I'm in charge or anything.
This is your last chance to talk.
Hey, I said I don't know anything. I'm just an average member here. I'm telling the truth. If you're here to find someone, why don't you look through the records yourselves?
800, wah awal banget nih ya, 800 ya. Oke, siap. Ya, boleh.
Irony. His life became a light for so many, yet to others, it wasn't even worth remembering. Where's the records room? Answer me!
It's right over there. All the files are in there. You can go through them as much as you want. It's not like any of them still matter anyway.
I mean the old records room.
The old records room? You mean the one that got burned down? Kusela. Ah, yeah, I remember him now. The guy who could hardly walk.
Watch your mouth. That's our boss you're talking about.
He was definitely faking it. We all let our guard down as soon as we saw him come hobbling in.
Udah aku subs juga, soalnya kamu asli orangnya Wang. Thank you. Ya, makasih juga.
But in the short time it supposedly took him to take a dump, he'd already gotten away and started a fire in the records room. He couldn't have possibly outrun us if he wasn't a fraud. And after that, Deshret's relics fell into complete disarray.
Stop wasting our time. Every one of us here is perfectly aware of what he had done. Tell me, Where is the old records room?
It's just over there. Go see it for yourself if it means that much to you. There's nothing left in there but ashes. No human could ever survive that kind of inferno. Bashar, Tikriti, let's go. We'll leave the others here to guard these guys. Spare them no mercy.
Oke. Nih temanku aja ini yang asli itu yang aku rename ini yang asli awalnya. Nah di sini aku yang tambahan dari YouTube sekarang nih. Jadi makanya itu baru nambah bener-bener dikit banget sih. 8001649 Oke, aku tambah ya. Wah, ini pasti kalau aku mah wah udah. Aku aja masih AR57 coba. UID ku tuh 82 awalnya. Jadi aku 1,4-an sih aku pertama kali main. Itu pun gara-gara aku ngelihat YouTube. Soalnya di YouTube wah ini game lagi naik daun gitu. Kasarannya mah. Jadi aku nyoba. Oh ternyata lumayan, ya udah aku lanjutin. Cuman lambat laun jadi males main gara-gara ini kesendat.
This was his final destination.
Mentok di Cilde.
How did he do it? Getting past all the guards with a limp and sneaking in here to start a fire? If he was nimble enough to do that, then he must have been able to get out of here after starting the fire, right?
Tia.
I'm sorry. I know it's just wishful thinking. Let's look around.
Main awal tuh UID berapa aja sih? Biasanya 800 sih. Temanku aja yang mainnya udah agak sepuh aja cuman 820 loh. Oh kalau 800 berarti pas awal rilis sih itu berarti mungkin bisa dibilang lah ya. Langsung main gitu. Aku aja 1,4, aku aja main 1.4 aja 827 aku awalnya.
Kusela.
Thanks for everything, boss.
We're fortunate to somehow find that cane after that fire.
Let's split up and look around some more. What if something else has been left behind?
But what else could survive a fire like that?
Huh?
8. Terus kalau UID 10 dapat potongan pajak negara. Aduh, wah aku nggak tahu juga tuh. Aduh, iya.
Wait, isn't that the toy sword you played with as a
Ya
child?
mungkin pinginnya gitu ya.
The dragon is no more, for Princess Dia has slain it. Its head now hangs above the city gates. Her bravery has brought eternal peace and prosperity to us all. Dia, come on. This is the most important line.
You can do it.
But Dia, you defeated the dragon. Everyone's waiting for your speech. Still too shy, huh? All right, I'll do it. I hereby proclaim our victory. Evil shall plague us no more.
Dia masih kecil, masih lebih.
I hereby proclaim our victory. Evil shall plague us no more, Dad.
Baru sadar. Sumeru. Kalau karya yang aku suka siapa ya? Sebenarnya gini, kalau aku nih ya, walaupun mungkin lihat dari thumbnailnya Nilo, tapi memang secara fakta Nilo itu karakter pertamaku yang aku pakai banget dan bisa apa namanya? Karakter yang pertama yang bisa nembus spiral abis lantai 12. Jadi emang aku lantai 12 aja baru gitu. Jadi makanya kenapa ya mungkin pasang Nilo aja nggak apa-apa gitu. Cuman kalau yang suka sih sebenarnya yang gimana ya, aku kalau soal suka atau enggak sih sebenarnya kalau memang itu karakternya asik untuk dimainin dan friendshipnya udah 10 sih aku nggak akan pakai lagi gitu sih. Kayak Nilo kan udah dari kapan 10 kan, jadi aku nggak pakai lagi gitu. Jadi nyoba-nyoba lah kalau aku lebih tepatnya. Soalnya kalau karakter itu terus takutnya bosen gitu. Nilo iya. Waduh. Virtual gimana ya? Virtual gimana caranya? Kalau virtual. Aduh.
Don't you remember? You asked Paimon what she would do if she were to wake up tomorrow with loads of money.
Kalau virtual gimana caranya ya?
And Paimon said that she would get boatloads of tasty snacks. You looked super confused at the time, but said it was an adorable thing to say.
Sebenarnya kalau karakter limited pertamaku tuh kan 3.0. 3.0 tuh Tighnari masih limited tuh. Nah, aku pertama kali dapetin Tighnari. Kenapa nggak dapetin Zhongli aja ya? Zhongli Kazuha belum punya loh aku. Itu pertama kali Tighnari, terus kedua tuh Ganyu tuh. Ganyu kan rerun sama Kokomi, aku ngambil Ganyu. Nah, baru 3.1 itu ada Sino Venti tuh, si Maharaja sama Venti. Nah, aku ngambilnya Venti. Nah, baru Nilo. Nah, Nilo aku sebenarnya nggak mau ngambil niatnya. Karena ya Nilo kan harus partinya Dendro Hydro tuh kan. Agak apa namanya? Agak kaku lah partinya. Nah, aku tuh awalnya mau ngegacha karena pingin dapetin konstelasinya Xiangling, karena pada saat itu Xiangling lagi rerun, lagi ada kan Xiangling kan di bintang 4-nya. Xiangling yang nggak dapat malah Nilonya pulang, dan itu red off lagi gitu. Menang red off lagi. Jadi awal dari situlah ternyata Nilo kepake, malah justru karakter pertamaku yang bisa nembusin lantai 12 gitu. Ya bisa bang, beli aja bang. Waduh, tapi kan nggak bisa bergerak masalahnya. Kita yang menggerakkan kan beda ya. Iya. Party Nilo nggak mahal kah? Sebenarnya dibilang mahal sih nggak juga. Kalau misalnya ada Kolei sama ini nih, Kolei, Dendro Traveler sama Barbara. Aku aja sampai sekarang Barbara, bukan pakai Kokomi. Nah, cuman aku ada Nahida sih. Jadi Nahida kebetulan pulang, jadi ya lebih enak lagi sih gitu. Sebenarnya nggak begitu mahal kok. Aku aja Dendro Traveler masih dipakai. Terus Nahida ya, kalau misalnya nggak ada Nahida, Kolei lah cukup. Sama satu lagi Barbara. Yang mahal cuma Nilonya doang gitu. Oh, kira kayak itu. Wah, kalau itu mah iya Albedo, Zhongli, Goro sih paling yang nggak mahalnya mah. Gitu doang. Iya sih, kalau itu agak mahal.
These opportunities don't come by often. So today, Paimon's gonna treat you to a special crash course on Paimon's life philosophy. Hey, come on! Paimon's not that stingy.
Yang agak mahal tuh ini Ayaka Premium. Ayaka, Kokomi, Kazuha, sama Shenhe. Itu juga mahal sih sebenarnya. Cuman Ayaka kan bisa substitusi gitu. Maksudnya bisa ganti yang lain gitu. Selain misalnya Shenhe-nya ganti Diona aja gitu. Kan bisa gitu. Cuman ya kalau ada Shenhe sih kenapa enggak gitu.
Eat to your heart's content. You'll feel better for sure once you've got something in your tummy.
MKZ, halo. Review. Oke, sepengetahuanku aja ya. Mungkin aku agak kurang ahli nih karena karakterku aja masih kurang bagus. boleh sepengetahuanku aja lah ya. Kalau salah mohon maaf.
Aw, thanks you two. Honestly, this is very unlike me. I just had a lot on my mind on our way back, so I didn't know what to say. My chest was filled with all kinds of intense emotions. They just shook me even more than all the feelings we've shared during our previous.
Yang mau review boleh kok, boleh mau review atau mau flexing atau mau showcase nggak apa-apa, bebas kok, boleh. Sini mah bebas kok.
Came to an end. Those emotions also vanished without a trace, and I was left.
Miss Splitter worth it lah ya buat gacha, worth banget itu. Itu bisa dibilang sword yang fleksibel lah buat siapapun, kayaknya bisa itu. Bahkan kalau misalnya Miss Splitter ada 2, satu lagi dipakai Bennett, kayaknya lebih cocok tuh. Pakai Bennett, jadi Bennettnya sekali burst bisa 200.000, 100.000 gitu. Iya, aku aja karakter apa sih, senjata bintang 5 aja baru ada 2, langit lagi dua-duanya. Yang lainnya limited belum ada senjata, karena apa ya, banner senjata aku belum pernah gacha sekalipun, belum pernah. Jadi Bennett damage kah? Iya, ultinya. Nah, itu kalau misalnya Miss Splitternya udah lebih dari 1 ya. Kalau ada Miss Splitter mah pakein Ayaka lah. Cuman kalau udah apa namanya, udah lebih dari 1 gitu, nah pakein Bennett lumayan.
You're right. To many mercenaries, Mora is the most important thing in the world. but perhaps to us, it's the most worthless thing of all.
Soalnya kan Bennett kan butuh base attack yang tinggi tuh. Kan biasanya orang-orang pakai Aquila tuh, Aquila Favonia. Cuman Aquila kan substatnya physical damage. Gak kepake kan untuk Bennett gitu. Nah, kalau misalnya mau kepake, pakai crit damage aja. Miss Splitter kan CDM 4,1 lumayan tuh. Base attack-nya juga sama kayak Aquila 674. Jadi ya lumayan buat Bennett tuh, lumayan kayaknya kalau buat burst-nya, buat ultinya dibuat 200.000 gitu. Bisa itu.
Idrisi and the others all used to say that they would quit if there was no Mora to be had. But when it came to avenging my father, there was no Mora to be made anywhere.
Atau kalau mau Bennett-nya C6 misalnya, jadi nge-infuse Pyro gitu. Bisa.
My reality
Jadi
shattered
bagus.
when I found out that the father who always told me hero stories was in fact a bad guy. But look at me now. Am I any different?
Oke, 815. Oke, boleh. Bentar ya, beresin ini. Oke, mau apa? Mau semua kah atau apa? Ya, nanti mau flexing, mau review, mau showcase, nggak apa-apa, bebas kok.
And we're hypocrites, all of us.
Mungkin kalau aku lihatnya udah bagus, mungkin ya oke, nggak apa-apa. Nanti kita lihat sebagus apa gitu. Nggak apa-apa, bebas kok. Boleh.
Only recognize our true feelings after it's already too late.
You're back! Are all of you alright?
Oke, siap.
There she is.
Yeah. Many people from the Corps of 30 came over, and I just wrapped up everything with my dad. All I can do now is wait for their verdict. Huh? Dia, you're looking quite down again.
Paimon will explain. A lot happened while we were gone.
Ini dikit lagi nih.
I'm sorry. I really should have controlled my emotions
Bisa
better.
pencet ini nggak sih? Oh, nggak bisa.
It's all right, my lady. You were hurt by all of this as well. Truth be told, I'm starting to feel a little guilty watching you cry like this.
Dia, your pain must be even worse. You shouldn't need to comfort me.
Hey, don't worry about me. If anything,
Catatan final stat Dehia sementara Tignari sama Xingqiu lagi nyari sense. Oke, boleh.
my father probably thought that people could settle into new lives as
Sama
long as
mid
they moved
statnya
to new
Saino.
life. That thought has
Oke.
even crossed my mind a few times. It's like saying, what's wrong with adapting to a new life? However, there was always something deep within my mind that refused to accept it. But now that I consider it again, it all makes sense. The desert sands are a part of who I am.
I understand how you feel.
That doesn't mean I won't be making any changes to my life, though. As an example, I'm now thinking about taking on some small odd jobs. It's just like Idrisi said. I also want to catch up to my father, and even if the ending of the story may be childish and ridiculous, it won't.
Isn't that neat, though? Oh, you'll be a whole new kind of mercenary, one that's not out for Mora. Why don't we go for a change of scenery once we finish eating? What about stopping by the Grand Bazaar again?
Right. You said you wanted to get a rug for your family.
We'll come along too.
I can't thank you enough for taking care of me.
Oke, kita ini dulu ya, lihat dulu ya. Oke nih ya. Wih, temanku ada yang online. 815481524 kok UID-nya enak ya. Oke, oh ini dari 4 ini ya. Oke, boleh. Oh, AR56. Oh, aku juga AR masih 57 loh. Ya nggak apa-apa lah. Oke, ini Dehia Max HP udah 30.000, udah bagus nih ya. Ini sepengetahuanku ya, kalau misalnya agak salah-salah mohon maaf nih. Ini udah cukup sih untuk Dehia starter pack, atau bukan starter pack lagi sih, ini untuk harian yang bukan showcase, ini udah bagus ini. Bahkan untuk spiral habis sudah cocok. Dan gini nih, aku tuh pernah dengar katanya kalau IR minimal kalau pakai emblem gitu ya, itu minimal 150 lah. Ini 160 udah oke. Berarti sebenarnya udah oke nih segini gitu. Nah, sebenarnya kalau untuk senjata oke, beacon udah the best ini mama. Enak banget nih kalau pakai beacon buat Dehia banget. Jadi Dehianya nggak boleh pakai shield. Soalnya kalau pakai shield ininya mati nih pasifnya. Lumayan. Nah, ini nih. Pakai Crimson, boleh juga pakai Crimson. Pakai Crimson tuh malah lebih enak kalau misalnya IR gitu udah bagus sih ya. Walaupun ini pakai Crimson. Kalau pakai Crimson berarti sarannya gini, mainnya kalau mau pakai Virgin atau Vaporize tuh enak tuh. Cuman kalau mau Virgin sih lebih gede lagi sih, 40% gitu. udah enak banget. Ininya pakai IR. Sebenarnya gini ya, kalau ini pendapatku nih ya, aku nggak tahu nih, aku nggak tahu benar atau enggak. Kalau menurutku kalau misalnya sense-nya mau IR, mending pakai emblem. Soalnya dari IR-nya kan ini agak apa namanya, benefit gitu kan untuk naikin burst-nya. Cuman kalau misalnya Dehia sih di sini mending HP atau attack dua-duanya oke sih antara dua itu. Cuman kalau mau memang main burst terusan sih nggak masalah gitu. Kayak gitu. Ini pendapatku gitu ya. Oke. Barang rusa oke, siap. Gitu. Ini udah oke sih menurutku kayak gini. Pyro damage. Oke, ini susah nyari aku tahu sih. Susah nyari nggak apa-apa, ini udah oke kok segini. Untuk Dehia bener-bener Dehia banget ini udah oke. Kalau pakai Crimson itu main Vaporize, main Burgeon enak banget kok. Cuman menurutku gini, kalau main Crimson ini agak kurang benefit. Walaupun memang burst-nya sih ya, memang jadi harus uptime, agak susah uptime gitu. Kalau mau attack atau HP, damage lebih gede, tapi rotasi lebih sulit. Ya, emang agak susah juga sih. Ya udah, sementara ini nggak apa-apa kok. Kalau misalnya mau sementara kayak gini, jadi it's okay kok. Kalau misalnya main Burgeon kan lebih apa namanya, lebih utamain ke IM juga gitu kan. Jadi IM 96 udah oke lah segini, udah oke banget. Dengan konstelasi channel nggak apa-apa. Dan ini oke, udah bagus banget ini. Udah oke banget ini, gitu. Kebanyakan orang-orang kalau menjadiin DPS Dehia tuh pasti pakainya ini emblem. Cuman ya nggak apa-apa, ini kayak gini juga udah bagus kok, udah oke. Main Burgeon ini lebih bagus lagi malahan gitu. Oke, terus selanjutnya Saino dengan IF. Oh, ini udah tinggi ini. Ini senjata ini ya, senjata apa? Si Dodol, pengat Dodol. Staff of Scarlet Sands. Udah oke ini. Udah oke banget ini. Ini untuk IR segini udah cukup sih. Saino nggak begitu gede-gede banget soalnya. 127 ya, 127 udah oke lah, udah di bawahnya ini. Nah ini sense-nya pastikan IM kalau pakai pengaduk dodol. Soalnya ada benefit dari IM-nya, menambahkan bonus attack berdasarkan IM. Jadi pastikan IM, karena Saino tahu sendiri lah ya, mainnya aggravate, jadi IM benefit banget untuk dia gitu. Ini electro damage oke. Kalau soal ganti-ganti ini udah oke sih menurutku ya. Saino segini 198 udah oke. Kalau misalnya mau ada yang dimaksimalin lagi, ya si Maharaja Batukan Seno Marsino. Gitu. Oke. Nyari off piece, apa sih, on piece goblet emang susah sih. Crit damage. Nah, oke, ini benefit juga kok, ini attack persennya kalau misalnya mau CDM. Oke, ini gede juga ini kayak gini. Udah cukup lah segini menurutku. Kalau kata streamer yang lain ini ganti susah sih. Mau ganti itu agak susah. Ya kalau misalnya mau ganti-ganti nih ya, sambil jalan aja. Nggak usah apa namanya, ini harus ganti. Udah. Ini untuk spiral habis udah lebih dari cukup. Gitu menurutku. Jadi segini udah oke lah. Yang penting mah gitu. Kalau mau ganti pasti goblet, memang goblet jangan sih. Mungkin ini bisa sih diganti, cuman ya untuk sementara ini udah bagus banget kok ini segini. Dengan channel nggak apa-apa. Terus ini oke, udah pas ini segini. Oke. Menurutku ini 9 aja udah oke sih. Soalnya kalau teman-teman ada yang harus di crown, ya nggak masalah gitu. Cuman kalau aku sih satu pun nggak ada yang di crown ya, karena mahal di crown tuh. Dan crownku aja masih utuh semua. Gitu, nggak masalah ini. 9 juga oke. Nah, untuk Tignari oke. Ini nggak usah naikin juga nggak apa-apa sih sebenarnya. Oke. Untuk Tignari ini udah oke sih ini segini. Untuk 166 aku aja masih 140, itu pun dibantu senjata gitu. Crown ban biar laki iya, cuman mahal ininya sih, mahal apa namanya, mahal moranya sama crownnya sayang. Karena ngumpulin crown tuh susah. Oke, ini Tignari dengan crit dengan rasio segini pakai slingshot ini udah oke ya. Walaupun ini senjata bintang 3, tapi ingat Tignari itu nggak butuh base attack. Jadi ini udah oke nih, pakai keputusan yang bagus ini. Kalau misalnya senjatanya udah sedikit, pakai slingshot nggak apa-apa, udah bagus kok. Aku aja awalnya Yelan aja aku awalnya pakai sharpshooter out, cuman IR-nya agak sulit sih, jadi aku ganti lagi ke Favonius gitu, nggak apa-apa. Ini pakai Gilded oke, karena benefit dari IM-nya ini si Tignari. Oke, kita lihat ya, ini udah bagus, ini enak nih, udah oke nih, udah oke banget ini segini. Ke IM naik nggak jadi masalah. Terus ada IR ya, Tignari nggak butuh IR sih ya, tapi nggak apa-apa ini naik ke IR juga. Ini sense-nya attack oke. Kalau aku sih nggak tahu nih ya, Kalau aku sih nyoba sendiri gitu ya. Kalau sense-nya IM tuh malah lebih benefit. Cuman nggak apa-apa kalau misalnya mau ngejar crit rate, crit damage, no problem. Yang penting IM udah 200 sih udah cukup lah ya untuk Tignari biasa mah gitu. Cuman kebanyakan sih kalau aku lihat rata-rata Tignari 300-an IM-nya minimal gitu. Cuman ini oke, udah segini juga udah oke gitu. Kalau aku lihat ini oke, ini udah nggak apa-apa sih ini. Sebenarnya Tignari nggak butuh IR tapi nggak masalah gitu ke IR gitu. Ini mungkin bisa nanti misalnya buat siapa gitu kayak. Cuman ini soalnya menurutku nih ya, ini mah dari aku gitu ya, setauku gitu. Kalau Tignari itu lebih butuh IM karena IM tuh ada pasifnya di sini di talentnya. Talent keberapa ya? Talent ini atau ini aku lupa pokoknya antara dua ini. Itu ada convert IM menjadi crit rate. Nah, itu satu. Terus yang kedua, memang gaya mainnya Tignari kan spread gitu. Coba main Tignari polosan dendro damage doang gitu, nggak ada reaction kayak spread atau segala macam, itu jelek banget Tignari itu. Karena damage-nya cuma 4 digit doang, cuma 1000, 2000. Tapi kalau misalnya mainnya spread itu enak banget. Jadi kalau misalnya mau diganti ininya IM it's okay, tapi mau attack sementara karena ngejar ini nggak jadi masalah kok. Ini IM-nya juga udah cukup gede kok, 42. Udah enak gitu. Kayak gitu. Itu dariku ya. Tignari mending IM gitu. Tapi ya sementara ini karena ini masih udah bagus banget gitu ya si sense-nya, ya oke lah, nggak apa-apa. IM-nya juga 42 lumayan angkat lah kayak gitu. Oke. Dengan talent udah cukup. Ini mau naikin sampai 92 ini juga oke kok. Ini nggak enak banget Tignari gitu. Oke, kita ke Xingqiu nih. Xingqiuku aja masih banyak PR nih ya. 46 oke, ini crit rate-nya emang agak kurang tapi ya oke lah. Kita lihat mungkin kurangnya di mana. Ini IR 200, pokoknya 200 udah aman kok. Untuk Xingqiu 200 aman. Pakai Sekri, oke. Oh sama, aku juga masih R2. Terus emblemnya, oke kita lihat. Bunganya, oke ini paling crit rate sih. Aku aja rasio masih 50-80, bayangin. Ini CDM udah enak banget ini. Ini oke lah, ini nggak usah diganti menurutku karena ini udah bagus ini. Walaupun memang agak gimana gitu. Nah ini nih. Sense-nya pakai IM ya. Ini kalau buat Nilo kepake sih kalau IM. Cuman kalau maksudnya buat apa namanya? Buat partian satu sama Nilo gitu. Ini kepake cuman gimana ya? Oke sih sense-nya memang harus ke attack sih. Kalau misalnya bisa nanti nemuin buat apa sih naikin crit rate udah oke kok segini. CDM kalau misalnya naik lagi 160 udah oke lah. Udah lebih oke emang sih. Tadi tuh sekalian nyari sense-nya ya. Oke. Apa? Untuk sementara ini hydro damage, ini udah bagus nih aku. Hydro damage nggak ada yang bagus-bagus nih. Nggak pernah ada yang sebagus gini nih. Hydro damage jelek semua. Crit rate oke, ini udah enak ini. Udah enak banget ini. HP-nya ini kepake juga buat healing. Ya healing darurat lah. Kepake. Udah C6 apalagi ya udah enak. Aku aja masih C5 tuh. Ini oke, ini udah. Oke, ini tuh berarti masih 7 ya. Oke, ini 9-in aja nggak apa-apa kok. Ini 9. Sambil jalan aja lah. Udah oke. Dan normal attack-nya nggak usah dinaikin. Nggak usah, nggak apa-apa. Gitu. Oke, itu dari aku kayak gitu mungkin. Sementara. Jadi ini mungkin PR-nya kalau Xingqiu sense-nya lah ya. Sense-nya attack persen aja. Karena dia scaling-nya ke attack persen. Gitu. Kalau buat Saino, oke udah IM. Nah, kalau Tignari nih, aku nggak tahu nih ya. Mungkin nanti kalau misalnya dapat sense yang IM, kalau misalnya nanti sense-nya dapat yang IM, coba bandingin aja main spread kayak gimana. Soalnya kalau aku ngebuktiin sendiri sih, IM lebih bagus daripada attack gitu. Karena Tignari benefit juga ke ininya gitu. Oke, lagi nyari bang? Oke, siap. Nah, mungkin dari aku segitulah ya. Kalau misalnya ada salah-salah, mungkin kalau misalnya abang ke streamer yang lain katanya, oh ini nggak apa-apa attack. Oh ya udah, mungkin kalau dari aku kayak gitulah ya. Oke. Kayak gitu. Ya udah oke kok segini, udah cukup banget ini segini. Buat Saino Dehia udah cukup banget itu Saino Dehia. Tinggal Xingqiu, Sense sama si ininya, si apa namanya? Si Tignarinya tinggal coba aja IM kalau dapat ya. Kalau nggak dapat ya gue sama maksain kok nggak apa-apa. Cuman memang kalau mainnya IM berarti terbatas. Tignari nggak bisa main raw damage karena raw damage-nya Tignari sih menurutku emang jelek sih ya. Kayak apa ya? Emang jelek sih. Jadi mainnya harus spread gitu.
Oh, this rug here is quite something. The craftsmanship is exquisite. And the fabric is also of high quality.
Ah, here you are. Finally, I found you.
Hey! Aren't you that mercenary who bit his tongue? You can still talk?
Wush.
Wait, are you here to take revenge on us?
What are you talking about? Do I look like I could take you all in a fight? I just came here to give you something. I'll be on my way to give myself up to the Corps after this. Once I woke up, I hurried to the Khan al-Akhmar's camp, hoping to alert them to your presence. But when I got there, I found no one except the members who were still too injured to move.
Ah, so you probably got there after us.
Yeah, they told me that they had exacted their revenge, and everyone had turned themselves in to the authorities. Even that last camp was not going to last for much longer. I had joined the cause to repay an old favor from Kusela. Now that everyone's already turned themselves in, I might as well do the same. One of the injured members gave this box to me, and told me that it contained some of the old man's last possessions.
Peninggalan Pak Tua.
Everything left in the camp will get confiscated, so I figured I should get this to you before the Corps could get their hands on it.
Thank you.
No worries. We are all just living our own truths. There's no need to comment or judge anyone for it.
Lagi quest set nih, iya. Iya, lagi quest ini soalnya.
Dia's father left behind.
Oh, aku udah lama, apa sih?
Better than expected.
Kemarin-kemarin sibuk kerjaan terus, jadi quest-quest ditinggalin aja, cuman daily udah aja.
Well, back in the day, the first thing he did with any Mora was spend it on things like drinks and meat. But let's see what's inside. What's this? It's just a bunch of junk. Ugh, kind of...
Perhaps it's just been left unopened for too long.
A handwritten copy of a storybook. The paper's already yellowed, and it looks like it's about to fall apart. It was against the Academia's rules to possess books for personal use. If he was going to break that rule, he could have at least copied something useful.
That probably means this was really important to him.
Ah, and here are a few bags of children's snacks. The packaging's completely deteriorated. Maybe that's...
Did he get those for you?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Even when I was a child, I was never a fan of these kinds of snacks. He'd always say that he got them for me, but in the end, he always ate more than I ever did. Who even leaves snacks in a box like this anyway? Isn't that just common sense? Forget it. Let me see what else is in here. A razor, some buttons, some round iron tiles, a wooden toy puppet, a wool scarf, which, from the looks of it, probably belonged to a woman, and a hair clip?
I'm suddenly feeling a little scared.
I'm sorry, my lady, but this is just the kind of man he was. He probably saw this box as some kind of personal trash heap and dumped it. 2 empty liquor bottles. Tell me, you guys, are these the kinds of things that a normal person would leave behind?
Huh? There's something in the bottle!
Oh, you're right. All right, I got it out. It seems to be a piece of paper with some writing on it. The bottom part's all damaged from moisture, though. Let's hope the writing didn't smudge. I was suddenly seized with an urge to write a letter after finishing this bottle. I just folded it up and left it in the bottle, though. If I end up forgetting about it, it won't really matter. To Dia. It's a letter for me? It's all right. I'll just read it out. If he went to the trouble of writing a letter, there must have been some important things that he wanted to say. Or at least record down.
My condition's becoming worse and worse. Can't even walk without a cane anymore, much less go out and have fun. Guess I don't have many days left. If you're reading this letter, then I suppose I'm already long gone. You were adorable as a baby.
Wah, bener aja nih set deh.
And regardless of whether you were crying,
Iya sih, tadi juga udah kerasa sih. Agak-agak set.
But once you grew a bit older, you were no longer nearly as happy or cute. It's probably Idrisi's fault. He was never up to any good.
Can you believe this guy? He can point the finger at himself.
Anyway, back to the point. To summarize, I'm writing this so you would know not to feel sad for me, even if you end up finding out the truth. The reason being that I was never your father to begin with.
Wait, what?
Lah, bukan ayahnya.
Surely, he must be joking, right?
I don't know.
I was quite formidable when I was young, and 100 times cooler than some so-called flame main. Really felt like the whole world was under my feet. With just a teeny tiny bit of effort, I felt I could rule over the entire desert. But as fate would have it, I went out into the desert for a drink one day and discovered a baby in the sands. You were just lying there, small and helpless. You were so tiny that if the wind blew for just a little while longer, you would have been buried forever. But your cries were so loud they made my head hurt. Now that I think of it, you really were a bundle of energy.
Sounds like he's serious.
I told Idrisi and the others that I had slipped up with a woman while out and about. None of them even doubted me. I'm sorry that I had to lie to them for so long, but I really had no other choice. I was their most esteemed leader, after all. It's not like I could just tell them that I suddenly wanted to play at being a father. At this rate, I'll puke up all the liquor I just drank from this bottle. Anyway, Dia, you possess the kind of freedom and kindness that we could only dream of. As far as how you should live your life, that'll be up to you to decide.
That's the end of the letter. In the end, he was still thinking of me as a little child.
Waduh.
I suppose, or I would have suffocated under the sand a long time ago.
He was a good father to you. The fact that he wasn't a blood relative doesn't change that.
Yeah. It's just a pity that we had to learn the truth of everything like this.
Do you already have some ideas about the decision that he wanted you to make?
I do. If he first found me alone in the sands, then I want to try my hand at finding the person who abandoned me. I just have one wish. To tell them a story. That there once existed a childish and foolish jerk with a heart of gold. And that only under his care was I able to grow and mature into the person I am today.
If you end up finding any leads, can you share them with us? We go on adventures all the time.
Sure, I appreciate it. I wasn't expecting you to be so enthusiastic.
I'll help too.
Thank you. All of you. My life has certainly had its twists and turns, but I've always considered myself lucky. Because no matter where I've gone, I've always been surrounded by incredible kindness.
Oh, finally beres. Nah, ini baru namanya story quest Dehia, bukan NPC story quest. Soalnya kebanyakan kayak story questnya siapa ya? Yelan itu malah NPC story questnya, bukan nyeritain Yelan ya, tapi nyeritain NPC. Nah, kalau ini baru nyeritain Dehianya banget. Nah, itu baru namanya story quest sesuai dengan karakter. Oke, habisin sekali dulu deh. Biar 160 racing. Aduh, ini udah dikit lagi nih. Akhirnya beres juga. Ya, habis itu aduh, hangout belum aku kerjain. Hangout si Ojan belum dikerjain. Hangout Ojan belum dikerjain. Aduh. Nyicil aja deh nanti. Nyicil habis ini, nyicil dulu deh. Gak usah di semuanya.
Busted. Game's up. Time's over.
I'm getting sick of the
IM, aduh nggak dapet. Gue build IM susah banget nyarinya. So sih ini, aduh, tapi agak kurang. Udah. Oke. Mari kita... Oh iya, mau hangout Farusan dulu ya. Wah, kok ada lagi? Loh, tadi perasaan tadi pagi ini. Oh, biasanya NPC kan kayak gini kan.
Gotcha.
Alah, nggak keren.
Stand with me.
Perasaan tadi pagi quest ini munculnya di tempat yang sama lagi. Lumayan lah. Friendship. Tambah friendship. Friendshipku Yelan baru 7 lah. Oke, sekarang kita ke hangout Farusan bentar deh. Hangout Farusan nyicil-nyicil aja dulu deh. Bentar, kalau BP itu udah penuh belum sih? Oh, belum. Bentar. 9540, oh iya, sekali lagi. TCG sih belum sih. Ya udah, TCG dulu deh. TCG dulu dua kali deh. Menuhin BP doang. TCG ya, belum TCG. Tapi besok juga pasti penuh sih. Ya, TCG dulu atau hangout dulu ya? Males sih main TCG tuh. Ah, udahlah, nggak usah lah. Main TCG males. Besok juga udah penuh kok. Oh iya, Farusan deh. Si Farujan. Ibu misterius Pardis Diai. Oh ya, ini ketemu Kolei dulu ya. Kolei Tignari.
Even though most of the Academia's restrictions have significantly relaxed, I'm still a bit worried that the Matra might give her trouble.
VA-nya belum diganti.
I need to stay here to keep an eye on the situation. Kale, can you head to Sumeru City and find out why she isn't here yet?
Does it have to be me?
I'd only assign a job this important to someone I trust. Are you not feeling well?
Oh no, I'm fine. I've completely recovered. It's just that if I'm going to see her,
I know. You'll have a tough time if you go by.
Oh, hey there!
Ah, it's been a while. What a coincidence. I was just thinking about asking you to accompany Kale to Sumeru City. Sorry, that's not what I meant. It's just that this matter concerns research banned by the Academia. Not the sort of thing you'd shout from the rooftops. Also, you happen to know about this situation? There are very few people I can trust to be discreet right now. After giving it much thought, I believe it's complicated, and this isn't the best place to talk about it. We'll fill you in on the details once she arrives. You might have heard about her in Sumeru before. Her name is Faruzan, and she's a very experienced senior researcher. Let's just say that a huge part of Kasharawar's mechanical research over the past 100 years have used her academic discourse and manuscripts as their foundation. She is, but she vanished for 100 years because of a certain incident. She only returned to the Academia after being found in the wilderness a few years ago. Because of that, her current personality can be a bit strange, as is her attitude towards Kale.
I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
She doesn't have bad intentions, so you don't have to be scared.
I'll try.
Yes, Ksharawar and Spontamod researchers are often quite prejudiced, so I can't trust them with this matter. However, Faruzan isn't influenced by modern thinking. In our previous correspondence through letters, she indicated that she'd be willing to help. It's already past our arranged meeting time, but she still hasn't shown up. I don't think so. With her personality, it's more likely that she got wrapped up in some sort of trouble. Anyway, can you go with Kale to the academia and check on Faruzan for me?
Thank goodness.
I'm counting on you too. Kale, don't push yourself too hard. Just go there and see what's going on. Our task is important, but not that urgent. If Faruzan really is in some trouble, come back and tell me about it. We can always reschedule our meeting. After all, if she's distracted by other things, it'll affect her ability to help us.
Alright, let's go.
Nah, oke. Itu ada 5 ending. Aku udah lihat sedikit sih sebenarnya kayak gimana. Cuma lupa kalau bahasa Indonesia pilihnya yang mana.
Sorry, what did you say? Oh, could you repeat yourself?
Farzan, I said that you need to give us an answer.
Yes. And did you forget to add madam when you addressed me earlier?
Your hearing is perfectly fine. Madam Farzan, we don't want to make things difficult for you. However, you haven't been teaching courses or supervising theses. Isn't this rather problematic as an advisor? Never mind the students. Even other advisors are starting to complain.
And who, if I may ask, complained? If they have any issue with me, tell them to talk to me themselves rather than waste any of your time. You don't have to tell me anything. I very well know that it's those people from Haravatat.
But Madam Farzan, it has been a long while since you last made any practical academic contribution yourself.
Academic contribution cannot simply be divided between the tangible and the intangible. The issue here, I believe, is that the reviewer doesn't understand the very nature of knowledge itself. In any case, it makes no sense to use a metric like this to evaluate a mentor. Which sage set this rule anyway? I should write a letter of complaint right this instant.
Wait! Madam Farzan, please let me finish.
That's her, all right. But the person with her doesn't look like a Matra. Shh! She hates it when people call her young! Her body apparently stopped aging during the year she was gone. So that's why she looks the same as she did 100 years ago. Okay, I think I'm ready for this.
Anyway, Akara Crafts and the leader of Ksharawar would like to invite you to... They're wondering if you'd be interested.
Kale! Why are you here at the academia? Are you feeling better now? I'm much better, Madam Farzan. It's all thanks to the Traveler and the dead... Have you been sleeping well? You seem to be developing some eye bags. Is that brat Tainari forcing you to stay up late again? No, it's because I'm a slow learner. It's not Master's fault. It's good to be hardworking, but you need to take care of your health. I'll have to give Tainari a right talking to when I see him. I'll also prepare some health supplements for you. There's really no need. And is the person beside you the legendary Traveler? Oh, I've heard much about you before. In fact, I've been meaning to meet you for a while now. It is thanks to you, after all, that the academia is finally getting back on its feet. Even Kali's illness is... I'd wager it's those Ksharawar dunderheads finding excuses so that I'd go to their darshan. Say no more. I have no plans to change my field of research.
If you're this unwilling to participate in the collaborative project, you can also consider teaching a class. It might be difficult to teach a course with topics that only fall within Haravatat's subjects, but we can't delay this anymore. You can teach a course or participate in a collaborative project. If you don't do either, it'll be hard for me to persuade the advisors and students who have been complaining.
Could you not give me a few more days to consider? This matter has been delayed for so long already.
That's precisely the issue. If you don't give an answer today, I fear that someone will soon escalate their complaints to the...
What a waste of free time these folks are. Now you two are here at Tainari's behest, I take it. I'm sorry, but given the current situation... Of course. I shall need some time to think as well. What now? She seems so busy. Master said there's no rush, but I know that he's been busy working on something at Paradis DI, so he hasn't returned to Gandharvaville for several days. I feel for Madame Farazan, but I still want to ask her to come with us. But if I get her in trouble with the academia, then she won't have the time to help Master. What should I do? But if someone does complain to the
pilih ini aja deh
academia,
dulu, biar
wouldn't it
lebih
make
ramai.
Farazan's situation more awkward? And if the academia investigated and found her at Paradis DI, things would get even... Do you have some way to invite her over to Paradis DI without stepping on the academia's toes?
Ini tuh yang mana ya? Kan scene-nya ada dua di tempat itu. Bentar, ada si ide lah. Ada ide dibawa ke... Bentar. Kita lihat situasinya dulu deh.
Okay then. I have to teach students from Haravatat or owe Kasharawar a favor. It strikes me that they might be even less happy about such a deal than...
I think I can sympathize with them.
Madame Farazan, we're back! Sorry for asking again, but are you sure you can't go to party? Well, since you're asking me so sincerely, let's just ignore the academia and...
Ignore the academia.
Please, Madame Farazan, focus. Today's the deadline. Huh?
Oh ya, untung bener.
Yes. I see. No wonder he sent you two over. Why, that lad didn't make it very clear in his letter, now did he? Otherwise, I would have reported it as part of my research. Yeah, that's right! Master sent us over to explain everything to you.
Wait. Opportunities for collaborative research don't just come out of... Also, there isn't much overlap between Madame Farazan's research and that of Amorto.
Master wants... A fully automated irrigation system.
A fully automated irrigation system?
Precisely. It's a system that can automatically adjust the amount of water it provides based on the season and the plant species involved. I saw a similar mechanism while exploring a rune in the rainforest. That's why Tainari wanted to collaborate with me.
A mechanism like that exists? Why haven't I heard of it before?
I found it 100 years ago, so it's only natural that you don't know about it. Why don't you go ask your teacher's teacher? Perhaps they've heard about it from their teacher.
Gurunya guru.
But we can't prove its existence one way or the other, right?
Fret not. I'll have Tainari write an official proposal to the academia later. That should do it, right?
An official proposal. Fine. I'll go inform my superiors now. Please do take care of the paperwork as soon as possible.
Sure. I'll be sure to needle him until he gets it done. Phew. I think she bought it. Even though this is our first meeting. Wow! You made up that excuse on the spot, huh? Madame Farazan, did you really find an irrigation system 100 years ago? Who knows? It's been 100 years, so it wouldn't be too surprising if I've forgotten a few details. No, huh? Then how will we explain things? I'll let Tainari worry about whatever documents we might need to send to the academia. If I'm right, the request he has in store for me won't be any simpler than the academia nonsense.
Oke, untung bener. Ke Paradis DI. Mending quest yang ini dulu deh. Yang ketemu Tamami kalau nggak salah.
You don't have to shout. I can hear you. Well, you got here much faster than I expected. I thought you'd have a lot more business to take care of.
Thanks to the Traveler, I was able to, pawn off various problems of mine.
On to others? What does that mean?
We can discuss that later. You're looking for me because of the thing you mentioned in the letter, right?
That's right. Please, follow me.
Karkata, halo. Karkata tuh. Udah tahu ceritanya mah gini nih. Nonton sambil kerja. Aduh.
Don't be scared, Kale. This is the mechanical life form the Traveler and I saved a while back. Its name is Karkata. It's the final work of a late junior of mine.
You mean Abatui? He must have been a genius to create one of such polish all by himself. It's uncommon that a Spontamod researcher is able to create such an intricate machine. If he were still around, we could probably chat the day away. Something seems wrong here. Have you been maintaining it? Mechanical life forms are much more fragile than they look. Is Karkata sick?
Karkata has been lying down like this since a few days ago. It could be an old malfunction acting up again. I've taken a few courses conducted by Spontamod before, so I've managed to perform some passable repairs on Karkata's energy supply module. However, it seems the issue this time is with its transmission. My knowledge can only prevent its condition from deteriorating any further. But, Madame Faruzan, you should be able to find a way to repair it.
Not necessarily. Mechanical life forms are created using techniques from alchemy, elemental science, and more. There are multiple modules here that influence each other. A simplistic knowledge of mechanisms will not serve here. You know that as well. Each mechanical life form is very different from the next. So even I cannot be sure if my understanding of mechanical life forms is going to be of any use to our little crab friend here. Karkata. Can you all go outside for a minute? I need a bit of space. Before I do a thorough check,
All right. We're...
Keluar.
Who knew that I'd encounter a mechanical life form in this manner after 100 years?
We'll wait here till Faruzan finishes her inspection. In the meantime, I'd like to talk to you about her. Her past, huh? Quite a few people in the academia know about what happened to her. I've told you before that she disappeared for 100 years, right? From her perspective, trapped might be a more apt description. Her exact words were,
That ruin was crawling with traps and coded inscriptions from wall to wall. I did all I could to decipher the code and deactivate the traps to escape the ruin, but there was no way out. I lost track of time and I ran out of pen and paper. In the end, I had to use stone shards to write on the walls and on the floor to decipher the code. Then, before I realized it, I ran out of space on the walls and floor. I had to calculate all the possibilities in my mind. After that, my memory started to become fuzzy, and my cognition slowed down.
she doesn't remember anything else, including the location of the ruin and how she finally managed to escape. When she was found in the outskirts of Sumeru a few years ago, she looked exactly the same as she did 100 years prior. However, she was in a stupor and struggled to form sentences. The academia speculates that she must have gotten trapped in an unknown ruin while researching machines a century ago. And because of the ruin's special properties that halted her aging, she was able to use those 100 years to crack the trapping mechanism and then escape. Though she had finally broken free, 100 years had passed. Everyone she knew, and everyone who knew her, was already gone. In the end, even the academia had to rely on century-old records in the Akasha to confirm her. Don't make that face. I'm not telling you this because I want to drum up sympathy. She wouldn't want others to pity her because of past events. Rather, she sees that period of entrapment as an experimental error. As a researcher, she must accept everything that results from her experiments, Even after going through so much, she's returned to Sumeru and still hasn't given up on her research. Due to changes over the years and drift in academic subjects, she holds some rather strong opinions about the current academia, and she has no shortage of detractors herself. What I want to say is that no matter what era we're in, Faruzan is a true senior researcher in every sense of the word. She has her own deep understanding of various ruins and machines. If there's a chance, you should talk about them with her. It'll definitely be helpful for your journey.
Master, Madame Faruzan's done.
Oh? Let's head over. With any luck, she might have figured something out.
I never thought that I'd encounter a restitution module once again after 100 years. Abatui really installed quite a few impressive things, if my guess is correct. This mechanical life form has displayed attempts at self-sustenance before, right? Such as collecting parts to repair itself, for instance?
It used them for something else, but as far as its design goes, it does have a function like that.
I knew it. If I'm not wrong, Karkata's issue lies with its restitution module. Abatui's modified this module extensively, but the core parts and design philosophy are very similar to the principles as I know them. They are all the creators of the Ruins machine once tried to create a perpetual mechanism that could replace life or even surpass it. The restitution module is the result of one of their countless attempts. It replicates the behavior of living things to achieve a self-repair function. However, the energy required in maintenance of the module became an issue.
Energy consumption?
For example, a living thing's heart can deliver nutrients and blood to various organs. However, the bigger the living thing, the more power. Once the heart is damaged, it'll be hard for that living thing to heal itself, and even the function of other organs can be affected. Thus, the attempt wasn't widely adopted. Even 100 years ago, I'd only seen it once before. Oh dear, this is going to be a problem. Based on my current research, I'll need to swap out the damaged parts in the restitution module to repair Karkata. But like I just said, the module is rare, even by the standards of ancient machines. Not only that, but there is very little related research documentation. Finding suitable parts would be like trying to find a single gear in the vast desert, to say nothing of the difficulty in making those parts from scratch. One can only wonder where Abatui found the original parts.
I might have an idea. Abatui was, for a time, quite passionate about excavating the Great Red Sand. This was when he had just gotten expelled from the academia.
You mean to say he found a restitution module in the desert? Well, that is indeed possible.
But the desert's huge. How are we supposed to find the parts that Karkata needs?
According to the academia's records, no similar parts have been found in the Great Red Sand over the past 100 years. If we want to try our luck, we'll have to explore ruins that have never been explored before.
I do know that a Vahumana researcher formed an expedition team after the sandstorms and earthquakes subsided.
Should we ask them if they've made any new discoveries lately?
The chances are slim, but it's at least more effective than running around like headless chickens.
His name is Raid. I think he's stationed at the northeast part of the Hypostyle Desert. Let's go look for him once Karkata—
Oh, you and Kale should probably stay. Karkata's condition may be stable, but it would still be better if some of us stay to look after it. Besides, you still need to take care of the trouble that the academia left for me.
Trouble from the academia? I thought you said you pawned it off to someone else. Wait, don't tell me.
I'll let Kale fill you in on the details. I look forward to seeing your work, Tainari.
Oke, dari bagian sini ada 2 ending. Tapi endingnya nanti masih panjang. Yang disuruh ceritain atau enggak. Harus lama. Kita kesini dulu.
What is this?
Halt! Mr. Raid's permission is required to proceed any further. That still won't do. Mr. Raid told us to keep people away from the ruins so they don't damage the site.
Damage the site? I've excavated more ruins than you visited restaurants. Which batch of students is right?
He isn't at the campsite now. You should all leave. Only he can give.
What a stubborn guy. You're right. Even if there is new information, we still have to wait for him to come back so we can ask him about it. I'm going to give that Raid a good talking to when he gets back. Starting from who in the world mentored you?
Oke, loh, tanya dulu.
Mr. Raid.
Oh, salah. Oh, ini nih orang ini nih.
That machine looks amazing.
Ruin Wanderer.
The legendary Ruin Wanderer? The location seems to fit too. Might that legend actually be true?
Take it easy.
The ruins? Don't know anything. We were only hired to deliver. Forget excavation. They won't even let us get close to the camp.
This area used to be ravaged by frequent sandstorms. But they say that this was done by a single traveler? But seriously, is such a thing even humanly?
Well, I found out everything I could. Is there anything that stands out to you? Ruin Wanderer. That's the first time I've heard that name. But that wreckage did seem a bit weird. It's a bit far away, and I can't really say for sure from this distance.
Okay.
Huh? What are you guys doing back here?
Ruin Wanderer.
I wouldn't blame you for not knowing about it, youngsters. After all, it's a tale that's over a decade old. It's said that this monster, the Ruin Wanderer, traversed through various ruins for centuries. Some said that it was like a giant, while others said that it was like a beast. However, then, about 10 years ago, we stopped hearing any news about it in Sumeru. No one has seen it since then, and the legend has since faded into memory. You youngsters probably don't know about the Ruin Wanderer nowadays, but it was famous for centuries.
Centuries? Impossible. I heard nothing about it back then. It could only have been around for a few decades.
Wait, back then?
Indulge my curiosity for a moment. Why do you think that wreckage is the Ruin Wanderer?
Well, I had also heard that secondhand from...
You heard that nonsense from the Eremites after they got drunk, right?
Who are you?
Madam Faruzan, it is a pleasure. I'm Raid, the one who organized this archaeological expedition. I'd heard of you at the academia, but I didn't expect to run into you here. Truly, it is. And this must be the famous traveler, I presume. What brings the two of you here?
Have you found any special contraptions and relics in the ruins that you've been investigating?
I'm ashamed to say that we haven't found anything noteworthy, even though we've been investigating for a while now.
Really? That Ruin Wanderer isn't noteworthy to you?
I'm afraid those are mere rumors. Really, I sometimes wish that those people would put as much effort into their work as they do into gossiping.
You're right, sir. I'll get back to work now.
The wise do not buy into rumors, so it is said. I believe that you too, Madam Faruzan, do not put any—
It is also said that real knowledge shall come from practice. I can help you research the excavated relics, and you can take credit for any new discoveries. I believe this—
In truth, I could ask for nothing better than your help with our research. However, you two must be tired after a long journey. I'd feel bad if I set you— It's getting late and my subordinates and I are heading back to the camp to rest. Why don't you find a place to spend the night first? There's a tent that the villagers occasionally use to rest. It's a bit simple, yes, but I hope—
Since you need to rest as well, let's do just—
Nah, di sini nih malam-malam sih.
This is quite far away. Are they trying to prevent the villagers from eavesdropping on them? The suits— Now, I have my suspicions about this archaeological expedition team and that machine wreckage. But based on the condition of the armor and joints, it didn't seem like something that had been lying around for centuries. At most, I'd estimate that it only stopped moving about a dozen years ago. Yes, the timing coincides with the spreading of the legend. How do you suppose it was able to maintain a relatively good condition despite high-intensity operation over the course of several decades? That's right. Technically speaking, the module shouldn't be able to move such a large machine chassis. However, I'm basing my knowledge on the mechanical life forms I've seen before. Well, this was over 100 years ago. It was a machine about the same size as Karkata, actually. It couldn't carry heavy objects or fight, and was only able to help me record some notes. It also helped me deliver letters home. I found it near the desert, which is why I wondered if there might be more restitution modules buried around here. Honestly, people in ancient times might have already solved the problem of providing enough power for all I know. I'll need to research this properly. Had I confronted Raid right there and then, he would have said that he couldn't tell that the machine was special. Then he'd just hand it over to the Academia obediently. If the wreckage were to be handed to the Academia, it'd be much tougher for us to do research on it or get spare parts for Karkata. Anyway, we should figure out what they're planning before making our next. They insisted that we should stay the night, which means if they're trying to pull a fast one on us, they're likely to try tonight. Are those sounds coming from the excavation site? I knew they wouldn't be able to wait. They must be scared that we might not a single person guarding the campsite. I'll see if they left any clues behind at their camp. Keep watch and help me stall them if it comes to that, would you? All right. I'm counting on you.
Oke, mana sih? Oh, ini.
Why isn't the tent here yet? We need to switch it out tonight.
It's still on the way. I'm afraid this is the first time we're
You good-for-nothings are just a load of trouble, aren't you? We wouldn't have to deal with these interlopers if you had kept those lips of yours from... Hurry up and hide our current tent and deliver the new one to me tonight, no matter what it...
Huh? Who's there?
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit upset because my subordinates aren't doing their jobs properly. When did you get here? It's nothing. Just a tent. We didn't pack up all our tents from the last campsite. Some of them, along with a few people, have been left there. Someone damaged our current tent, so I'm trying to get my subordinates to get one from that previous campsite delivered here. The relics in the ruins are highly valuable, so I'm worried that treasure hoarders and bandits might try to steal them. Since the tent isn't here yet and I can't fall asleep, well, these things are antiques after all. There will always be people interested in buying them. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask, is the Academia really aware that you've traversed through the desert to come here in the middle of the night? Also, where's Faruzan? Why isn't she with you?
I'm right here. Also, you forgot to address me as Madam.
Sorry, Madam Faruzan.
You were all making so much noise that I couldn't sleep, which is why I got the Traveler to find out what was going on. But for some reason, that one task took forever, so
I'm very sorry for disturbing your rest. I'll tell my subordinates to be quieter on patrol.
Good. Come on, Traveler. Let's head back.
Ini pemandangan di belakangnya kok aneh banget.
Yes, we came to check out the situation, didn't we? Well, we've already done that. We should get better rest so that we'll have energy to investigate tomorrow.
Kembali kanan nanti tuh mana ya?
Thanks for dealing with them. Now, I found something good on my end. According to them, the ruins have been raided before, with numerous traps and I also observed the wreckage up close earlier. The weathering is nowhere near as extensive as on the relics that have been buried for over 100 years. There's no doubt that the wreckage and the ruins don't belong to the same era. Instead, it must have wandered into the ruins about a dozen years ago. It could have fallen into a trap or encountered a glitch within the ruins, remaining stationary like that until it was discovered recently. However, I still don't know why they'd want to hide it. I have no doubt that the researcher could definitely reach the same conclusion I did. The last few pages of the excavation records are written in code, which I still need time to decipher. It's just wordplay. And if anything, that's my... Just a bit more. Ah, I see now.
Help! Please help!
Nah, ini nih.
Why are you running away? Come back! Protect!
What's that sound?
Protect me. Kenapa nggak lari?
The Ruin Wanderer? Reactivated? That's impossible! Is this the work of some kind of hidden mechanism? Never mind. We have to focus on saving lives first. I'll cover them. You go stall the Ruin Wanderer. What? It ignored the Traveler?
Why is it chasing after us?
What could have caused it to reactivate? And to give chase?
Darn it! Hey, come on, you lot! It's clear that we can't escape, so let's just attack it!
Mati lagi kan?
It stopped?
Hey, you guys, get up there and tell me what's going on!
But what if it suddenly moves?
You good things! Why is everyone I hired so useless? Move! I'll do it myself. Looks like this thing's parts can't handle the load of functioning anymore after years of disrepair. When it first reactivated, I was wondering if it'd be as amazing as the legends had pegged it to be. I didn't expect it to be so much weaker than it looks.
Disappointing, you say? Now, is that because you won't be able to sell it for much?
Faru-san, you may be my senior as an academia researcher, but that doesn't mean you get to slander me.
You wrote these excavation records, did you not? Or perhaps calling it a ledger might jog your memory a bit better.
I don't recognize that thing.
January 3rd, excavated 5 tents. January 5th, 3 tents sold. January 10th, 1 special tent pre-sold. It must quickly be switched out with an old tent. You're supposed to be an archaeological expedition team, and yet here you are, secretly selling the relics and profiting from it. When you believed that you had found the wreckage of the Ruin Wanderer, you tried to switch in wreckage that you had excavated previously to pull the wool over the Academia's eyes. After all, there would probably be many wealthy buyers interested in purchasing the legendary Ruin Wanderer in the black market, yes? And then we arrived just before you could finish your work. That forced you to speed up your plan, and you tried to complete the switch overnight before I could investigate the wreckage. In your haste, however, you accidentally activated the Ruin Wanderer instead. Did I get that all right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You lack the curiosity befitting a man of knowledge, nor do you have respect for mechanical life forms. You're not...
Ridiculous. Curiosity? Respect? I'm not here to hear you preach. Hey, we're leaving.
Mr. Aid!
Behind you?
Nah, ini nih harusnya kenapa bergerak kenapa nggak lari? Coba. Ada juga teriak.
Why is it moving again? Run!
Some said that it was like a giant, while others said that it was like a beast. However, none knew why it wandered the ruins.
Technically speaking, the module shouldn't be able to move such a large machine chassis. However, I'm basing my knowledge on the mechanical life forms I've seen before. Centuries? Impossible. I heard nothing about it back then. It could only have been around for a few decades at most.
Why is it chasing after us?
So you've been looking for me this whole time?
Nah, Tamami aja. Nah, Tama. Ini bukan namanya. Rin Scott.
Long time no see to me.
Tamimi. Nah, baca dulu biar dapat achievement. Nah, baca dulu biar dapat achievement nih. Tahu berjalan lancar. Saya lihat dengan matamu sendiri. Oke, menguning, tulisannya rapi. Mimi. Menguning bolak-balik dikoreksi. Achievement. Okay.
Dear Farazan, I hope you're doing well. It has been over 20 years since you went missing. People from the academia keep telling us to give up, and that but somehow, I feel like you're still alive. Yes, that you live still. You've always been persistent, able to shine no matter what situation you face. I believe that this persistence serves you well in surviving and finding your way home. Unfortunately, I likely won't be able to welcome you home when you do. I don't have much time left, and my reflexes have slowed. Others keep telling me to stop exploring ruin. Only Tamimi is still the same as before, always running off to places which you've been to. Your teacher and friends came up with an idea to remodel Tamimi, so it can search for you in our place. You didn't like coming home back then, and would always get Tamimi to send a letter back. Now we're leaving a letter with Tamimi. I don't know the answer to that question, but if you ever read this letter, I hope it'll be when you've already found your way home. I regret not being able to say this to you myself, but I'll still feel sincerely happy for you.
My welcome home, Farazan. Look at you, Tamimi. You've changed so much after all these years. I've safely received the letters. Tamimi, the mechanical life form I encountered back then. When I would go on expeditions, it would follow me, take notes for me, and send my letters home. When I met with that accident, it was on the way to deliver a letter for me. I once thought that I'd never get to see it again. I didn't expect my teacher and others to remodel its self-repair function, upgrading it to self-learning. And so, in order to plumb the depths of unknown ruins and overcome dangerous traps, it repaired and modified itself using parts it found along the way. 1 decade of wandering became many, and soon, Tamimi, which used to be incapable of even moving heavy objects, became the Ruin Wanderer. All so it could deliver these last letters from them to me. The strain to support such a huge body must have turned out to be too much for your heart. Even after the remodeling, its restitution module still can't function perfectly in perpetuity. It has been pushing itself beyond its limits over the past few decades. Just like a living being, mechanical life forms have a limited lifespan. It probably became trapped in the ruins all those years ago because its shelf life had run out. It most likely only reactivated because it detected my presence. And then it mustered up everything it had to deliver that last letter. Tainari told you what happened to me, right? You don't have to apologize. It's not like this incident is a secret in the academia. Besides, I've always treated it as a failed experiment. As a researcher, I must accept this result. However, finding out that so many people were affected by my failure does make me feel somewhat conflicted. Can you head back to Pardis DI first? We've been here for a while, and as for me, I want to stay with Tamimi for a bit longer.
Oke, di sini ada 2 pilihan nanti. Pardis DI. Pardis DI. Tapi kalau di Sumeru pasti nge-lag. Mungkin karena banyak rumputnya gitu. Nah, ini ada dua pilihan. Disuruh ceritain atau di skip secret.
You're back!
How was your journey through the desert?
Nah, ini nih. Ya udahlah, ini dulu baru yang bawahnya nanti. Aduh.
Oh no. She finally got to reunite with an old friend from 100 years ago.
As a researcher, she could perhaps accept it. However, as a friend, a student, and a daughter, we should give her some time. And in the future, I hope that we can be here to support her as her...
Oke, tunggu 1 hari. 1 hari. Ya. Satu hari.
I'm back! What?
We've all been waiting for you, Madame Faruzan.
That's more like it. Now, here are some components I brought back from the desert. Switch these out with the ones Karkata is using right now. And why do you all look so solemn? Come now. Liveliness befits youngsters.
Madame Faruzan, did these parts come...
Come now. I thought that you must have encountered some major problem. Well, it looks like you already know everything. But no need to feel bad. Like I said before, Tamimi had been operating beyond capacity for a century, and I'm unable to repair it with my current abilities. Not even with these parts. It would thus be much better, as a senior, it is only right that I do something for the people who come after me. That holds true for both researchers and... Besides, I didn't say that I would be giving you these parts for free. They will only be used for Karkata temporarily. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to help me with my research. I'll be sure to revive Tamimi once I've fully deciphered and replicated the creations of the ancient civilization.
All right. I'll do my best to help.
Me too! Although, I'm not sure if I'll be much help.
Thank you. If they could remodel Tamimi successfully even back then, there's no reason why we won't be able to do even better. And when that day comes, I'll be sure to say, welcome home, Tamimi.
Oke, beres. Ini baru yang 1. Nah, sekarang kita yang akhir ini deh. Yang akhir kedua. Mana sih? Nah, ini kan masih kekunci. Nah, yang ini nih.
You're back!
How was your journey through the...
Ini yang ini.
So Madame Faruzan has some other things to settle. Alright. And to think that Raid was doing all of those things on the sly.
Madame Faruzan will be able to repair Karkata...
Tamimi. Oke, petik hari ya. Tunggu 1 hari ya. Suka partis dia ini.
I'm back! What? Is there to be no welcoming party?
Madame Faruzan!
That's more like it. Now, here are some components I brought back from the desert. Switch these out with the ones Karkata is using right now. And
So this is a relic of an ancient civilization?
unscrupulous, huh? Sounds like you already told them what happened. Is that so? Thank you. We will talk about everything else later. It's nothing. I've already given all the evidence we have against Raid to the Academia. They're going to be very busy. Too busy to bother us, I'd wager. I'll start repairing Karkata then. Kale, can you help me out?
Of course! fine, but even so, it...
You're here. Thank you for keeping Tamimi a secret. If I tell them about Tamimi, will they still feel happy for Karkata? Even if we could convince them to accept the components, they'll probably still feel bad about it. I don't want my past to affect people in the present. That applies to both me and other people. It's fine. I'm used to this. I once believed that I'd never hear from my old friends and family ever again. Even their faces are getting hazier in my memories. However, I could remember them clearly again after reading the letter Tamimi handed to me and learning that they'd never given up on me. I'd be disappointing them if I let myself fall into a slump because of this. Neither my teacher nor my mother would have wanted to see me like that. Besides, you're lending a listening ear to me now, aren't you? Oh, Pardias DI looks pretty scenic at night. Will you take a stroll with me?
Okay.
Once Karkata's condition stabilizes, I'll find a chance to tell Tainari and Kale about all that. But for now, just help me keep this secret. Thank you. Whether it's 100 years ago or now, I have people who worry about me. I suppose I should consider myself quite fortunate. The only time when I felt otherwise was when I had just returned to Sumeru. No one came to check up on me then. Yeah, I'm home.
Oke, beres. Sip, tinggal quest deh. Aku belum quest. Belum event. Event. Bentar lagi udahan deh. Event dulu. Event tuh tinggal yang mana ini? Oh, yang ini doang. Wah, ini event tersulit ini. Event tersulit sepanjang masa. Karena aku nggak jago mainnya.
Take it easy.
Aduh, ini paling susah. Event susah ini. Bentar. Eventnya susah banget ini. Waduh, yang gampang aja udah susah gini. Wah, gagal. Aduh. Yang mudah aja susah ini. Waduh, susah. Bintang 1, bintang 2. Alah. Alah, susah banget. Tulsem, nggak apa-apa lah. Yang penting dapat primo. Oke. Salah. F4. 27 langsung. Eventnya oke, F5 kan chapter ini udah beres. Ini tuh udah juga ya. Oh ya, udah semua ini juga. Potret, foto-foto juga udah. Ya, belum tinggal ini doang. Perjumpaan udah beres. Tinggal event. Toko event. salah. Halo, Rick and Roll. Waduh, sorry nih, mau udahan nih sebentar lagi. Aduh. Halo, halo, halo. Beli aja. 200, oh ngepas. Gak apa-apa bang, oke. Duh, sorry ya. Ya, ini. Nah, oke, udah beres semuanya. Dan oke deh. Tinggal nantilah lanjutin lagi deh. Mau ini dulu soalnya. Oke lah. Aduh, sorry banget nih udah mau udahan dan emang udahan juga. Duh, sorry ini ya. Oke. Duh, thank you nih ya yang udah hadir. Aduh, nanti lanjutin lagi lah ya. Oke, nggak pernah mampir bang tempatku. Oh iya. Suka biasanya pas kapan ya? Suka malam ya, bang ya? Oke lah, nantilah semoga malam bisa lah. Aku sih biasanya segini bang, kalau ngelihat biasanya suka jarang komen sih kalau ke orang lain gitu ya, tapi nantilah mungkin aku coba ya. Oke, thank you nih ya. Aduh, Rick and Roll, sorry nih aku baru datang. Aduh, apa sih udah mau udahan soalnya. Oh apalah, gitu MKZ Mas Turiga, thank you udah lah ya, thank you. Nanti kita lanjutin lagi lah ya.